Chapter 1674. Bearing the Consequences 3. Elder Qian, this is all my fault. That Wuxia. Jiang Yuran hurriedly spoke up and wanted to tell Elder Qian about how he had gotten into trouble and involved Yi Qingtang. He wanted Elder Qian to persuade Yi Qingtang to admit defeat. But before he could finish speaking, Yi Qingtang punched him in the stomach. He could not speak and gasped from the pain. What was this little girl doing? Elder Qian did not know what Jiang Yuran intended to say. Elder Qian, thank you for your concern. I will do my best. Yi Qingtang's expression was serene when she replied to Elder Qian. Elder Qian nodded contentedly and left. Little girl, you're so vicious. Jiang Yuran held his throbbing stomach. I'm entering the arena. You don't need to bother about anything else, said Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yuran opened his mouth, but no words came out. While the next few matches were taking place, Jiang Yuran vanished into thin air. By the time Yi Qingtang noticed and vaguely sensed that something was amiss, her match with Wuxia was about to begin. Qingtang, I'm afraid that Jiang Yuran. Jiang Yixing suddenly raced over to Yi Qingtang, panic written over his face. The front of his robes was covered with blood. Yi Qingtang, Wuxia, enter the arena. At that moment, Yi Qingtang's name was called to enter the arena. Jiang Yixing still wanted to say something, but someone came to lead Yi Qingtang to the stage. When Jiang Yixing saw that, he broke out in cold sweat. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly, and her gaze swept past Jiang Yixing. Jiang Yixing must have something important to say to her regarding Jiang Yuran. What had happened to Jiang Yuran? Meanwhile, the Jiang family elders were watching from the raised platform as Yi Qingtang prepared to fight Wuxia. As they knew how the match would end, they were not overly concerned. After all, Yi Qingtang and Wuxia were miles apart. She had no hope of winning. It was not just the Jiang family elders. Even the Mu family was not paying any attention to this match. They had never heard of this Yi Qingtang before, and had not seen any outstanding performance from her during this martial arts championship. It was unsurprising that they felt this victory was assured, so it did not matter whether they watched this match or not. Wuxia has done very well this year. She must be in the middle of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? A Bailey family elder smiled at a Mu family elder. She already broke through to the middle stage of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm before we came. The Mu family elder said with a smile. Your Mu family has another young genius besides Mu Ferua. Congratulations are in order. The Bailey family elder said. Wuxia's abilities were pretty good. It was unlikely that she would make it into the top 10, but she was already doing very well. Your Bailey family already has 2 members who entered the finals of the previous championship. Bailey Zai's abilities are terrifying, and I heard that Bailey Zuanyan's abilities have also improved vastly this year. The elders from the 2 families did not pay attention to this match, which had a foregone conclusion. Instead, they started flattering each other. As Yi Qingtang pondered the matter, she reached the arena. Wuxia also appeared before her eyes. At that moment, Wuxia was all smiles. She looked at Yi Qingtang, like she would a lamb led to the slaughter. Yi Qingtang, I didn't think you would dare to enter the arena, Wuxia said smilingly as she looked at Yi Qingtang. There was no response from Yi Qingtang, but from the corner of her eye, she glimpsed a spot of fresh blood on Wuxia's sleeve. Chapter 1675. A tooth for a tooth 1. The blood was fresh. Judging from the color, it was likely she had stained her sleeve not too long ago. It was still bright red and wet. Wuxia noticed what Yi Qingtang was looking at, and raised her hand to examine her sleeve. A trace of a smile suddenly appeared on her lips. Ah, I'm so careless. I've dirtied my clothes. Wuxia raised her head and looked at Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yuran has already laid down his life to beg me to have mercy on you in the arena. Clearly he knows you are no match for me. I thought you would not dare to enter the arena, since you asked him to plead with me. I didn't expect you to be so pathetically stupid. Surely you don't think I'll let you off just because Jiang Yuran came to apologize to me? Wuxia's words took Yi Qingtang by surprise. Jiang Yuran had apologized to Wuxia? What was going on? What do you mean? Yi Qingtang asked calmly. Wuxia chuckled and looked at Yi Qingtang mockingly. What's the matter? You're shameless enough to get Jiang Yuran to plead with me, but not shameless enough to admit it? But what a pity all you Jiangs are equally stupid. He thought I would let you off if he knelt and allowed me to hack at him as I pleased? I haven't settled the score with him for embarrassing me that day. I almost killed him just now, and he'll consider that payment for his debts. But as for you, I certainly won't let you off. What have you done to Jiang Yuran? Yi Qingtang's eyes were narrowed, and her voice had become extremely soft. What's the matter? Mu Rushua suddenly laughed loudly. She peeked at the corner of the central square. Can't you see for yourself? Yi Qingtang followed Mu Ruxia's gaze, and saw a grim-looking Jiang Yinyan, carrying a blood-covered figure, rushing away from the crowd. It was only a glance, but Yi Qingtang's heart felt as though it had turned into ice. That idiot! Yi Qingtang drew a deep breath. She had not expected Jiang Yuran to do such a thing. How could he do that just to ensure that Mu Rushua did not try to kill her? Damn him, why was he so stupid that her heart ached? Don't worry, I didn't kill him. I've always been compassionate. Mu Rushua raised her hand slightly, as if she had shown the utmost grace in not killing Jiang Yuran. But I won't be so nice to you. Mu Ruxia's eyes grew cold. Yi Qingtang's eyes were lowered, but now she raised them and looked at Mu Rushua again. Her previously calm expression had turned frosty. Mu Rushua, I'll say the same to you. Jiang Yuran, I will avenge you. The unexpected response stunned Mu Rushua. She sensed that Yi Qingtang's manner had undergone an obvious transformation. You overestimate yourself. I would like to see how terribly you die in my hands. Mu Rushua suddenly drew her sword and tilted her chin towards Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yisheng, who was outside the arena, was frantic. He crouched by the side of the arena, wishing that he could go over and drag Yi Qingtang down. Is Qingtang mad? How can she possibly compete with Mu Rushua? That lunatic is so vicious, she will certainly make things difficult for Qingtang. Xiaobai, why won't you try to dissuade her? Jiang Xiaobai was standing next to the arena. He looked at the chilly-looking young girl standing under the glaring hot sun, and did not even bat an eyelid. My elder sister Qing won't lose. He spoke very slowly. His voice was very soft, and his words were almost blown away by the wind. She won't lose? Even Jiang Yuran was no match for Mu Rushua, Jiang Yisheng said. Didn't Jiang Yuran also lose to elder sister Qing? Xiaobai remarked casually. Chapter 1676. A tooth for a tooth? Jiang Yisheng gaped. Xiaobai, that was Jiang Yuran deliberately giving her a chance. The two incidents are not comparable. Shut up and watch. Jiang Xiaobai frowned at the ruckus he was making. In the arena, Mu Rushua had drawn her sword. The blade glittered coldly under the rays of the sun, and ripples of spirit energy coursed through her. The spirit energy around her transformed into a glistening wave of light, like stars scattered around her. What's going on? Mu Rushua is actually using the Mu family's whirling stars move? Am I seeing things, or is Mu Rushua crazy? She's using the whirling stars move on that little girl from the Jiang family? How has that Yi Qingtang offended Mu Rushua? Why is Mu Rushua using this move on her? The group of youths who were watching went berserk. The whirling stars move was a sword technique unique to the Mu family. It was infinitely powerful. The moment it came into play, it would enclose everything within a given area. All the spirit energy could be transformed into sharp blades, and an opponent in the vicinity of the whirling stars would be flayed, until only bare bones remained. This was the Mu family's most vicious move, although not its most powerful one. Even Elder Qian, who was on the elevated platform, could not help but widen his eyes. What was going on? Could there be some enmity between Mu Rushua and Yi Qingtang? Otherwise, why would Mu Rushua use such a vicious move on Yi Qingtang? Elder Qian had wanted Yi Qingtang to gain more experience, but now he could not help but feel worried. With Yi Qingtang's abilities, she certainly could not survive Mu Ruxia's whirling stars move. She would be killed. In the arena, Mu Rushua was feeling smug. If she had not wanted to utterly crush Yi Qingtang, she would not even bother to use a move like the whirling stars. Mu Rushua felt that Yi Qingtang's abilities were such that the latter could not even withstand a single stroke of her sword. Tsch, what a bore. Yi Qingtang, You should thank me for allowing you to enjoy such a nice view before you die. But how can someone as ugly as you bear the sight of such a beautiful move? Mu Ruxia's smile was filled with condescension. As Yi Qingtang looked at the spirit energy that was slowly gathering and approaching her, her mind was filled with the image of Jiang Yuran's bloody figure. That idiot! The mid-stage of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? Yi Qingtang glanced at the cold gleam amidst the spirit energy. Afraid? A pity that it's too late. You should have realized the disparity between us earlier, and just kowtowed and admitted that you were at fault, or admitted defeat. Too bad that now. I won't give you a second chance, Mu Ruxia jeered. But Yi Qingtang only calmly looked away. Empty vessels make a lot of noise. Yi Qingtang's soft words took Mu Ruxia by surprise. The next moment, Yi Qingtang's figure simply vanished. Her speed shocked Mu Ruxia. What was going on? Where had Yi Qingtang gone? While Mu Ruxia was in a state of shock, Yi Qingtang suddenly appeared behind her. Mu Ruxia felt a cold blast attacking her from behind. She instinctively turned to see that Yi Qingtang had lifted her foot to viciously stamp on the beautiful face that she was so proud of. One kick from Yi Qingtang sent Mu Ruxia flying forward with a crash. But she had flown less than a meter before Yi Qingtang reached out and grabbed her by her long hair, hauling her back. Ah! Mu Ruxia screamed piteously as her scalp was almost ripped apart. Yi Qingtang showed no signs of pity, and only twisted around to stamp on Mu Ruxia's stomach again. Chapter 1677. A Tooth for a Tooth 3. The force of her move almost crushed Mu Ruxia's organs. Blood spurted from her mouth. That warm blood sprayed Yi Qingtang's face, but it could not reduce the chill in her eyes. Bam! Yi Qingtang lifted her hand and punched Mu Ruxia in the face. The punch broke through any form of pitiful defense she could muster and smashed straight into her nose, pulverizing it with a resounding crack. Tears and mucus spurted out, leaving behind no resemblance of her previously gorgeous features. Yi Qingtang's eyes showed no pity as she watched Mu Ruxia writhing in pain. Originally, she had not intended to bother with Mu Ruxia, because Mu Ruxia was not her goal in this martial arts championship. However, Mu Ruxia should not have been so cruel to Jiang Yuran. The scene that was unfolding astonished everyone at the martial arts championship. No one had expected Mu Ruxia, who was at the mid-stage of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, to be utterly crushed by the young and unknown girl from the Jiang family to the point where she was unable to retaliate at all. The elder from the Mu family, who had been watching in interest, widened his eyes in disbelief as he saw Mu Ruxia being crushed like an ant. Even the elder from the Bailey family, who was standing nearby, could not help but frown. At the other end of the seating area, the elders from the Jiang family were utterly floored. What was going on? Somehow, Yi Qingtang had completely suppressed Mu Ruxia, but they all knew that Mu Ruxia was a powerful figure at the mid-stage of the heavenly venerate third heaven. Unless Yi Qingtang's abilities had surpassed those of Mu Ruxia, why was she unharmed by the swirling stars? Elder Qian, what? Just what is going on? Yi Qingtang's abilities. Elder Kuan, who had never noticed Yi Qingtang before, was shocked to say the least. Elder Qian gaped, but did not know what to say. How would he know what was going on with Yi Qingtang's abilities? When they had tested Yi Qingtang's talents, they had clearly nothing like this. The Jiang family elders were shocked speechless. Jiang Yisheng, who had been filled with concern, was standing next to the arena, watching Yi Qingtang land punch after punch on Mu Ruxia's face. The force of her blows had caused that exquisite face to become bruised and swollen, and it now looked distorted and hideous. Qingtang. She. Jiang Yisheng was so shocked that he was stammering. Shut up. Keep watching. Jiang Xiaobai's eyes were fixed on Yi Qingtang. His expression was warm, and his eyes were filled with amusement. In the arena, Mu Ruxia had fainted under Yi Qingtang's heavy punches. Yi Qingtang had used the simplest and crudest methods, but her force was shocking. She had beaten Mu Ruxia until she was unable to retaliate, and her head was buzzing. The fervent punches had Mu Ruxia injured to the point that she flopped onto the ground. Blood bubbled out her mouth, a crimson stream that leaked from uncountable wounds all over her body. Her eyes, which were already swollen, vaguely saw Yi Qingtang in front of her. Her eyes were filled with shock and anguish. How could this be? How could this be? How could Yi Qingtang compare with her? Impossible. The person whom she assumed she could defeat so casually was now abusing her without restraint. The arrogant Mu Rushua was crushed by shame and despair. Mu Rushua, do you think you're very beautiful? Yi Qingtang slowly walked over to Mu Rushua. She looked down at Mu Rushua, who was lying there like a sack of dirty mud. You! Yi Qingtang suddenly reached out and dragged Mu Rushua up. With a flick of her wrist, she unsheathed the sword that was girdled around her waist. As she held the sword blade in front of Mu Rushua, the latter could clearly see her features gleaming across the blade. Chapter 1678. Amazing 1. Mu Ruxia's eyes almost fell out of her head when she saw the distorted, swollen face in the reflection. Intermittent roars burst from her throat. She had always treasured her looks, and had never dreamt that she would one day appear in public looking so disgusting and ugly. How dare she? Mu Rushua struggled to free herself from Yi Qingtang. She seemed to go berserk, and she covered her face tightly, and peered at the contemptuous eyes looking at her from outside the arena. Then she screamed and fled the arena, half running, half crawling in her desperation. How could this be? Yi Qingtang should be the one in this state. In the arena, Yi Qingtang had shattered Mu Ruxia's arrogance inch by inch, and her dignity was in shreds. Bailey Xianyan, who was seated on the platform, looked grim as he watched this scene unfold. None of Yi Qingtang's previous opponents were particularly powerful, and he had not heard from the Jiang family that she had any great ability. So they had secretly assumed that Yi Qingtang was weak and easily bullied. Who knew that a surprise like this would occur? Mu Rushua fled, which meant that she conceded the match. The winner of the match was clearly Yi Qingtang. Qingtang, you were amazing. Jiang Yixing's eyes glowed as he watched Yi Qingtang leave the arena. He suddenly recalled how he had confidently given Yi Qingtang pointers on cultivation, and his cheeks flamed in embarrassment. Embarrassing, so embarrassing. With Yi Qingtang's abilities, why would she need his pointers? All the Jiang family elders were gratified by this unexpected outcome. Elder Qian was surprised and delighted. He had not expected Yi Qingtang to improve so quickly. However, the joy of Elder Qian and the others was mingled with regret. Yi Qingtang's abilities had exceeded their expectations. Her abilities were considered above average in the martial arts championship, but she was still worlds apart from the other youths and the top 10 from the last martial arts championship. All the top 10 from the past championship were at the 4th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. Since Yi Qingtang had beaten Mu Rushua, who was at the mid-stage of the 3rd heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, she must be at least at the peak of the last stage of the 3rd heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. This was already a remarkable achievement, but she was still some distance away from being able to challenge the top 10. What a pity. If we had known earlier, we could have spent a little more effort on her, and she might have a chance of making it to the top 10. Elder Kuan could not help but sigh. They had felt that the gap between Yi Qingtang and the others was too great, so they had not spent much effort on her. Now they could not help but regret their decision. Even if she's at the peak of the 3rd heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, it is extremely difficult to enter the 4th heaven. Although it is just a step away, how many talented youths have been stuck at that stage for decades, unable to advance? Elder Qian sighed softly. He was both gratified and remorseful. The closer a cultivator got to the 5th heaven, the harder it was to advance. They had seen many talented youths who were stuck at the peak of the 3rd heaven for decades. The elders who had initially overlooked Yi Qingtang could not help but feel regret. Yi Qingtang had only just entered the Taiyuan Valley, but had managed to advance to this realm already. If she had not been lost in the first place, but trained in Taiyuan Valley since young, with her level of comprehension and her demonic heavenly demon bloodline, the Jiang family would have raised another outstandingly talented disciple. W. Chapter 1679. Amazing 2. The more the Jiang family elders thought about it, the more depressed they felt. They could not help but feel despondent. At the moment, the Mu family elders' expression was extremely ugly. When he saw that Mu Rushue had fled with such severe injuries, he hurriedly arranged for someone to look into it. Before this fight, no one had paid any attention to Yi Qingtang. But after this fight, some people began to notice her. The Jiang family has been hiding this girl. They've managed to keep this secret quite well, Qiu Heong said smilingly. Qiu Chun, who was nearby, gave a mocking look. Is there any need to hide this kind of ability? She only beat Mu Rushue, not like it's a big deal. That Mu Rushue was only at the mid-stage of the third heaven. Even if she won the match, it would be impossible to enter the top 10 without reaching the fourth heaven. Qiu Heong laughed softly. I heard there was some conflict between Mu Rushue and a few of the Jiang family members. Who cares about their conflicts? Both the Jiang family and the Mu family are beneath us. Although Yi Qingtang beat Mu Rushue, she has not yet entered the fourth heaven. In the Jiang family, only 2 people have ascended into the realm of the fourth heaven. Qiu Chun had no interest in opponents who had not yet reached the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. His goal was to become one of the top 10 in the martial arts championship. The fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm could be said to be the most basic requirement for becoming one of the top 10 in the martial arts championship. Without attaining this realm, one need not even dream of achieving it. Today's victors would challenge the top 10 from the past martial arts championship tomorrow. All of them were outstanding, and although the outcome of Yi Qingtang's match had surprised many, it did not create much of a stir among the many victors. After winning the match, Yi Qingtang did not linger in the square. Instead, she immediately went with Jiang Yisheng and Jiang Xiaobai to Jiang Yuran's room. At that moment, Jiang Yuran was partly conscious. Jiang Yinyan had brought him back and arranged for his treatment before returning to the square to prepare for his own match. At the moment, only 2 youths who knew Jiang Yuran were sitting with him in his room. Jiang Yuran bared his teeth in agony. He had numerous injuries all over and his handsome face had been reduced to a bloody pulp. One eye was injured and he could only open it partially. He was startled when his other eye saw Yi Qingtang and the others enter the room. Little girl, surely you didn't enter the arena? When Jiang Yuran saw Yi Qingtang, he immediately asked about his greatest concern. Yi Qingtang was shocked to see Jiang Yuran's numerous injuries. But when she saw that Jiang Yuran was still clear-headed, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Who says Qingtang didn't enter the arena? Her match is over, Jiang Yisheng said. What? Jiang Yuran was shocked. He involuntarily tried to sit up, but the moment he moved, he groaned in agony. You stupid girl. I told you not to go and just admit defeat. Why didn't you listen? Did that lunatic make things difficult for you? Jiang Yuran gritted his teeth against the pain as he asked. Yi Qingtang shook her head. She was about to reply when Jiang Yisheng cut in. How can scum like Mu Rushue make things difficult for Qingtang? She can just dream on. You didn't see how Qingtang punched the daylights out of Mu Rushue just now. Wow, the feeling was great. From then, Jiang Yisheng proceeded to give an animated description of how Yi Qingtang had decimated Mu Rushue. He could not help but exaggerate a little, painting a vivid portrait of Mu Ruxue's fitting disgrace. How the proud had fallen. Chapter 1680. Amazing 3. After hearing everything, Jiang Yuran's concern was transformed into shock. He looked at Yi Qingtang in bewilderment. It was as if he was seeing Yi Qingtang for the first time. Why didn't you say earlier that you could beat her? When Jiang Yuran finally recovered his wits, his first impulse was to burst into tears. If he had known that Mu Rushue was no match for Yi Qingtang, why would he allow Mu Rushue to beat him up? Would you have believed me even if I told you? Yi Qingtang looked at Jiang Yuran. Jiang Yuran opened his mouth. Before he closed it again. No, he absolutely would not have believed her. For a moment, Jiang Yuran was utterly despondent. Not only would he not have believed her, even Jiang Yisheng and the others would not have believed her. They had always thought that Yi Qingtang's abilities were average at best. Even if Yi Qingtang had argued her case eloquently, they would not have believed that she really had that kind of ability. I didn't expect you to. Yi Qingtang looked at Jiang Yuran. What he had done had taken Yi Qingtang by surprise. Although this fellow had a sharp tongue, he really took responsibility for his own actions. Are you saying I'm stupid? At that moment, Jiang Yuran felt like crying. Yi Qingtang was speechless. Alright, you'd better rest. Qingtang has already avenged you. I think Mu Rushue is even worse off than you, Jiang Yixing said. When Jiang Yuran heard that, he immediately cheered up. I can't stand that lunatic. Good riddance since you've beaten her to death. Yi Qingtang stopped worrying when she saw that Jiang Yuran still had the energy to joke. But Qingtang, for the next round, you have to challenge those monsters who were in the top 10 of the last martial arts championship. You have to be careful. Even though you've beaten Mu Rushue, that Bailey Xianyan and Mu Feiruo are all close to her, so you must avoid challenging them. They'll definitely be difficult to deal with. Jiang Yuran started worrying again. He really wished he had curbed his sharp tongue. My goddess won't be so petty, Jiang Yixing muttered. That's her younger sister. Jiang Yuran glared at Jiang Yixing. It's not just Mu Feiruo. Bailey Shi, who is in first place, is also from the Bailey family. If Bailey Xianyan has a word with him then. The more Jiang Yuran thought about it, the more worried he grew. Bailey Shi was famous for his near-demonic powers. Even now he was undefeated. Stop worrying. The contestants can choose who they want to challenge from the previous top 10. Not all the previous top 10 are present this year, so they probably haven't figured out how to adapt the rules yet. Jiang Yixing reasoned. Jiang Yuran thought about it and agreed, so he did not say anything more. He simply collapsed on his bed, moaning in pain, until Jiang Yixing felt like punching him. Meanwhile, Bailey Xianyan hurried to Mu Ruxia's rooms before the day's matches were over. When Yi Qingtang was fighting Mu Rushue, she had used the simplest, crudest moves. Not only had she beaten Mu Rushue until she was unrecognizable, the latter had also sustained many internal injuries. The physician from the Mu family was treating Mu Rushue when Bailey Xianyan arrived, but Mu Rushue hid behind a veil, unwilling to let anyone see her ugliness. Younger sister Rushue, how are you? Bailey Xianyan asked, his voice filled with concern. I want to kill her. Oh, kill her. Mu Ruxia's hoarse cries emerged from behind the veil. Bailey Xianyan frowned slightly. He had not expected Yi Qingtang to be even more powerful than Mu Rushue. Chapter 1681. One wave after another one. Sister Rushue, don't worry. I will settle this debt for you. I will not let off those who have harmed you. Bailey Xianyan expressed his loyalty. Brother Xianyan, not only do I want her disfigured, I want her dead. She has utterly humiliated me today. I desperately wish to tear her into pieces. Don't worry. Count on me, Bailey Xianyan reassured her. Just then, the door was opened and the cool-looking Mu Feiruo entered. Her face remained impassive when she noticed Bailey Xianyan in the room. Feiruo. Bailey Xianyan inclined his head. Mu Rushue glanced at the curtain. As if she could detect Mu Feiruo's arrival, Mu Rushue burst into aggrieved tears. Feiruo, that Yi Qingtang has gone too far today. I cannot let her off just like that. She has already passed through the final round, and will challenge the top 10 from now. This is a good opportunity to avenge Rushue. Bailey Xianyan immediately spoke up, but Mu Feiruo just cast a sweeping glance at him, and left before he even finished his sentence. Bailey Xianyan was momentarily taken aback by Mu Feiruo's indifferent attitude. Nevertheless, he didn't care. He had to focus on how to avenge Mu Rushue. Soon enough, he came up with an idea. That evening, Yi Qingtang and the rest of the group specially brought dinner over to Jiang Yuran's room, as he was injured. The group of them ate together. But before they finished eating, several Jiang family youths entered, their faces all battered and bruised. When they saw Yi Qingtang in the room, their expressions became grim. Wow, what happened to you guys? Are you really that nice? To join me in my injured state? Jiang Yuran teased. Those youths were not in a joking mood at all. Stone-faced, they said. It's that Yi Qingtang. What? Jiang Yuran was shocked. The Jiang family youths narrated the entire story then and there. On the way out for dinner, they met a bunch of people from the Bailey clan and the Mu family. All should have been fine and well, but the youths from those two other families suddenly attacked them without any reason. They were already a small group, and faced with youths from the two families combined, the Jiang family youngsters endured an utter thrashing. After being beaten up, the two youths from the other families told them that they were attacked because of Yi Qingtang and Mu Rushue. As a result, they hurried over. Bailey Xianyun wanted them to tell us that for the next part of the competition, unless Yi Qingtang personally challenges him, he will send youths from the Bailey clan and Mu family over to make trouble every day. As they said this, the Jiang family youths all glared angrily at Yi Qingtang. They were not at all interested in the quarrel between Yi Qingtang and Mu Wuxia, and didn't even know of it in the first place. But now that they had been beaten up for nothing, they couldn't help being angry at the instigator. They wouldn't have had to suffer that beating if not for Yi Qingtang. What does that mean? What does Bailey Xianyun want to do? Jiang Yixing furrowed his brows tightly. Has he gone insane because of Mu Wuxia? Brother Yin has already agreed to challenge him. Why is he looking for trouble now? Jiang Yuran was completely perplexed. How would we know? The Jiang family youths snorted rudely. Chapter 1682. One wave after another, too. Just as the few of them were arguing over this, the door to the room was kicked open with a bang. Bailey Xianyun was standing there aggressively, with the youths from the two families in tow. Yi Qingtang, our previous bet has not ended yet. If you don't challenge me in the next competition, I will send my men to take good care of your Jiang family disciples every day. Bailey Xianyun declared as he stared at Yi Qingtang. Previously, Bailey Xianyun was not that interested in sparring with Yi Qingtang. But now that he wanted to help avenge Mu Wuxia, things were different. Bailey Xianyun, how can you go back on your word? Brother Yin has already agreed to the terms of your bet. How dare you come charging at us now? What do you want? Jiang Yuran stood up angrily. This entire situation was such a troublesome mess. Bailey Xianyun raised his brows and smiled. You've got to be kidding me. I already told you. I want Yi Qingtang to challenge me, and I will only give up when I win. As for Jiang Yinyan, I was just giving him a chance to challenge me. Did I ever say that there's no need for Yi Qingtang to challenge me once Jiang Yinyan did it? It was true that Bailey Xianyun hadn't made things clear then, and didn't use precise language. His self-righteous tone was aggravating. Looking at Bailey Xuanyan's current attitude, even if he had made any prior promises, he would probably not admit it either. Yi Qingtang's capabilities had indeed surpassed Jiang Yuran and everyone's expectations. But this didn't mean Yi Qingtang had the ability to challenge Bailey Xianyun. It must be pointed out that in the previous martial arts championship several years ago, Bailey Xuanyan's powers had already reached the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. How could Yi Qingtang possibly fight against that? It doesn't matter even if you don't agree, but I would advise the Jiang family members to not leave their residence over the next few weeks. After all, the Jiang family folks are so cowardly that they are an eyesore. Don't blame us if we beat them up because they have irritated us. Bailey Xianyun was determined to force Yi Qingtang to fight him, and his words dripped with provocation. We are not afraid of you. Go ahead and try to beat us up if you dare. Jiang Yixing was enraged. Bailey Xianyun was clearly trying to seek revenge for Mu Wuxia. In response, Bailey Xianyun only smiled as he cast a sweeping glance at those bruised and battered Jiang family youths. Those youths were not on close terms with Yi Qingtang at all. They were only good with Jiang Yuran. Having already been beaten up for no good reason, their faces turned even more grim after hearing Bailey Xuanyan's threat. This was clearly Yi Qingtang's own problem. Why did they have to suffer along with him? You are truly loyal. But can you speak for everyone in the Jiang family? Bailey Xianyun smiled. Jiang Yixing was about to speak, but noticed the unhappy faces of those Jiang family youths. He immediately halted his tongue. They wouldn't be so concerned if it was just the Bailey clan looking for trouble. Their numbers were comparable, and they could stand their ground in a brawl. But now that Mu family had also joined the fray, it was difficult for the Jiang family to face these two families together. Also, the Mu family had the high-ranking Mu Feiwa, while the Bailey clan had the demonically talented top dog Bailey Shi. If those two decided to fight, the Jiang family would definitely lose terribly, even with Jiang Yinyan and Jiang Xiaobai on their side. Chapter 1683. One wave after another 3. The island of immortal footsteps would not prevent the disciples of the families from fighting. Even if the Bailey family and the Mu family joined up to attack the Jiang family, No one could raise any objections, as long as the great elders of both sides didn't intervene. Even if the Jiang family got beaten up badly, they would only be blamed for not being good enough to protect themselves. So, Yi Qingtang, do you intend to hide behind everyone like a turtle in its shell and drag your family down with you? Or are you going to step up and fight with me? Bailey Xinyan grinned maliciously. What do you mean by dragging down the family? Since we are the same clan, we will bear all troubles together. The Jiang family fears no one. Jiang Yuran put up a false bravado as he stood up and faced off with Bailey Xinyan. The camaraderie was dampened almost immediately by the Jiang family youths. Iran, you may be on good terms with Yi Qingtang, but we are not familiar with her. We don't wish to be implicated in this matter. Moreover, since she has to challenge the top 10 sooner or later, it doesn't matter who she challenges first. Those few Jiang family youths were very reluctant to side with her, and made no pretense of their stance. Yi Qingtang had only been at Taiyuan Valley for a short period of time, and seldom interacted with them. Why did they have to be dragged into her troubles? Jiang Yuran was nearly puking blood and anger at those youths, and Bailey Xinyan laughed out loud. So it seems your Jiang family is not as united as I thought. By now, the faces of Jiang Yixing and Jiang Yuran were very grim. Jiang Yinyin and Jiang Xiaobai were not present, and those Jiang family youths were rebelling against their wishes. What could they do? Watching the squabbling crowd, Yi Qingtang suddenly stood up. As you wish. I will challenge you in the next competition. Yi Qingtang gazed calmly at Bailey Xinyan. Little girl. Qingtang. Jiang Yuran and Jiang Yixing were thunderstruck. Was Yi Qingtang crazy? Bailey Xinyan was not Mu Wuxia. He was way beyond her league. All right, I will be waiting. Having achieved his goal, Bailey Xinyan left with his gang in satisfaction. His eyes were filled with malicious intent. He would make sure Yi Qingtang died in that arena, to make good his revenge for Mu Wuxia. After Bailey Xinyan and his gang left, Jiang Yuran turned to glare at those useless Jiang family youths. But those youths only pasted on innocent faces. Iran, didn't you also wish to beat up Yi Qingtang then? You have changed your mind in such a short period of time? We have known each other for so long, but still can't compare to her? Do you really want to see us beaten up by Bailey Xinyan, just for her sake? The youth spoke bluntly, not caring that Yi Qingtang was just sitting there. You are all talking bullshit. Jiang Yuran was so angry that his wound started to ache. It doesn't matter whether you are happy about this or not. The Bailey family has Bailey Shi, while the Mu family has Mu Feirua. Even with Brother Yin around, we may not be their match. So even if we stand and fight, the end result will be the same. The youths continued to argue vehemently. Jiang Yuran was about to rebuke them when Yi Qingtang stood up again. She patted Jiang Yuran's shoulder. Since I was the cause of all this trouble, I will settle it myself, Yi Qingtang stated. The lips of those Jiang family youths twisted. They clearly didn't buy Yi Qingtang's words. Settle it? Her. Please. She was just going to get beaten up by Bailey Xinyan. No, little girl. This matter was clearly because Jiang Yuran felt rather anxious. At the end of the day, he was the true cause of this entire situation. Yi Qingtang was just the scapegoat. But Yi Qingtang shook her head, and didn't give Jiang Yuran a chance to finish speaking. She made up an excuse and left. Jiang Yuran stared after Yi Qingtang's departing profile, until she disappeared from sight. He then remained seated in his chair, and clutched at his own head fretfully. Chapter 1684. The day of the challenge 1. What came next was the final leg of the competition. All participants who had gone through multiple days of battle were finally given a few days of rest. As there were not enough people in the top 10 from the previous competition, there were some changes to the rules of the final leg of the competition. With the changes made, there were two options for the final leg. The first option was the original format. Challenge the top 10 from the previous competition, and the winner would assume the position of the incumbent. The second option was an elimination format. As there were some missing people in the top 10, those who did not wish to challenge the incumbents could fight this year's challengers, until the top few remained to fill in the missing positions. Many people heaved a secret sigh of relief at the offer of these two choices. This was because this martial arts championship was taking place way too close to the previous one. As a result, there were still a lot of powerful fighters from the previous competition participating. It must be noted that in the previous competition, the participants were already the top fighters of the various clans. They had since experienced the mystic realm, and the past few years of cultivation would only have made them stronger and better. It would be too stressful for this year's challengers to challenge them directly, so it wasn't a surprise that nearly everyone had their sights set on the few empty spots on the list. But this didn't include Jiang Yinyan and Yi Qingtang. The two of them were going to challenge the same person, Bailey Xianyan. Bailey Xianyan was in the top 10 from the previous competition, and by now, his abilities would have improved by leaps and bounds. Yi Qingtang didn't dare to slack off. She made use of these few days of rest to shut herself in her room to cultivate. She was now only one step away from the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. But this step had cost her months. Inside the room, little white tiger lay quietly on the ground, watching Yi Qingtang cultivate in a cross-legged position. Yi Qingtang really wished to enter the illusory void again, but didn't dare to as she couldn't control the time spent inside. At her current level, it felt like she was missing just one thing. Yi Qingtang could clearly feel that she was nearly able to break through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm with just one more breath. But that one breath appeared to be stuck in her throat. She could not rise up no matter what she tried. Time passed quickly, and it was soon the day of the challenge. Jiang Yiran had more or less recovered over the past few days. He was still bandaged up but was no longer bedridden. Today, everyone from the various clans would gather at the central public square. They were waiting for the final results of the last few days. Jiang Yinyan and Jiang Shaobai had arrived at the public square early in the morning. The elders of the Jiang family were all carefully analyzing the pros and cons of different scenarios. Regarding Yi Qingtang, Elder Qian, and the rest were momentarily shocked. But they quickly forgot about her when they had to consider the top 10 from the previous competition. Not just them, even the weakest fighters from the previous competition would probably have ascended to at least the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. Meanwhile, among this year's challengers, Jiang Shaobai, Jiang Yinyan, the Qiu family's Qiu Chun, and some other top disciples had all also attained the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm and above. No matter how one looked at things, the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm was the first barrier to becoming part of the top 10. Since Yi Qingtang had yet to reach that level, how could she have a chance of winning? It was impossible. Those few people from the previous competition all experienced vast improvements since then. But luckily there are a few empty spots. The two of you don't need to take the risk of challenging them. Just make sure you secure a spot on the top 10, Elder Qian advised as he looked at them meaningfully. Chapter 1685. The day of the challenge, too. It wasn't that Elder Qian lacked confidence in Jiang Yinyan and Jiang Shaobai, but that this martial arts championship was extremely important to the Jiang family. If they fell flat on their faces again, they would end up the laughingstock of all the other clans. The only way to help the Jiang family regain their status was to have at least 2 members in the top 10. By his side, Jiang Shaobai and Jiang Yinyan listened quietly and impassively. Oh yes, where is Yi Qingtang? Elder Qian surveyed the surroundings after instructing the two of them. Although he had no expectations of Yi Qingtang breaking into the top 10, it was still a highly coveted opportunity to be able to compete against the top fighters of all the clans. It was not an opportunity that Yi Qingtang could afford to miss. Jiang Shaobai yawned and shook his head. Never mind. Take care of yourselves. I will scope out the situation. With that, Elder Qian turned and left. Meanwhile, Jiang Yiran, Jiang Yisheng, and the rest of the Jiang family youths were already gathered at one side. Several of the youths frowned when they noticed that Yi Qingtang was nowhere to be seen. Don't tell me Yi Qingtang is planning to back out? It's probably that she doesn't dare to show up. Her words that day were all just false bravado. She must be scared witless on the inside. Didn't you notice that she hasn't even stepped out of the house the past few days? What the hell? Bailey Xianyan would never let things go if she reneges on her word. There are still some days to go after this. Don't tell me she is really going to betray us to the Bailey clan and Mu family just to save her own skin? The Jiang family youths grumbled on unhappily. Since that day when Yi Qingtang had promised to challenge Bailey Xinyan, she had gained a modicum of respect from them. But the day of the challenge had arrived and Yi Qingtang had yet to show her face. Was she going to play them out? You bunch of cowards! You dare to call yourselves members of the Jiang family? Just a few threats from Bailey Xinyan, and you are so scared that you are willing to betray your own clan. You guys are the real selfish ones. Jiang Iran stared coldly at those youths. Iran, you can't say that. This matter has nothing to do with us. Why should we be targeted by the two major clans, just because of Yi Qingtang? Stop your bullshit. The elders already made it very clear to you. I was the cause of this entire matter, and Yi Qingtang was implicated by me. If you want someone to blame it on me, Jiang Iran said. Iran, now is not the time to split hairs. Bailey Xinyan clearly wants to vent his anger on Yi Qingtang. Even if the whole thing started because of you, Yi Qingtang was the one who injured Mu Wuxia. Jiang Iran could no longer endure listening to the excuses spouted by those youths. He felt a wave of disgust as he looked at the so-called brothers of his clan. No wonder outsiders claimed that the latest generation of the Jiang family were all weaklings. They were all too willing to betray friends for their own benefit. They were utterly heartless. Jiang Iran was about to continue arguing with them when Jiang Yinyan held his shoulder to stop him. Brother Yin, I will challenge Bailey Xinyan as agreed. Bailey Xinyan might not have the energy to fight Yi Qingtang after our battle, so there's no need to argue over this now. This was one of the rare times that Jiang Yinyan had spoken. In reality, Jiang Yinyan already knew that Bailey Xinyan had led members from the two clans to stir up trouble with the Jiang family. This act had touched a nerve with Jiang Yinyan. Brother Yin, it's all my fault for bringing so much trouble to you. Jiang Iran felt very guilty. Chapter 1686. The Day of the Challenge 3. Jiang Yinyan glanced at Jiang Iran. It's pointless to say such things now. It's for the best if Yi Qingtang doesn't show up today. Otherwise, with Bailey Xuanyan's character, I am afraid he won't let her leave the arena alive. To be honest, Jiang Yinyan did not care much for Yi Qingtang. But after the past few days at the Island of Immortal Footsteps, and after listening to Jiang Iran's stories about Yi Qingtang, he felt that she was a pretty decent person. Those Jiang family youths might be overly blunt in their statements, but if one was to look at things objectively, they really didn't know Yi Qingtang well at all. How could they feel protective toward a stranger? I know. Jiang Iran's shoulders slumped. Well, shall I go to Qingtang's room to take a look? I can stop her if she intends to come? Jiang Yixing hustled over. Okay. Jiang Yinyan nodded. It would be a rather big blow to the Jiang family if Yi Qingtang died in that arena. So Jiang Yixing hurried off. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaobai remained silent the entire time. He just leaned against a stone pillar, with his head lowered drowsily. Today was the first day of the challenge. The elites from the previous competition were seated high up, waiting to welcome the challengers. Jiang Yinyan surveyed the 6 fighters. Apart from Bailey Xinyan, there were also the top dog Bailey Shi, 3rd place Mu Ferroa, 4th place Zhang Rao and 7th place Sang Feiyu. Amongst them, Mu Ferroa and Sang Feiyu were the only 2 females. Although they appeared slender and fragile, no one in the crowd underestimated them in the slightest. Brother Yin, who do you think will secure a spot on the top 10 this year? Jiang Iran asked curiously. Bailey Shi is totally peerless. No one here is his match. Even the proud Jiang Yinyan did not dare to claim otherwise when he saw Bailey Shi. Mu Ferroa is also very powerful. She was only slightly behind the 2nd place candidate from the ancient Yu clan. As for Zhang Rao and Sang Feiyu, they both have very unorthodox moves. Neither of them will be easy to handle. Jiang Yinyan held a very guarded attitude toward facing the top 10. He wasn't the only one. Everybody, including all the elders from the various clans, were very vigilant toward them. Meanwhile, the top fighters from the previous competition were already warming up and loosening up their limbs. My body feels all stiff after sitting down for so many days. It's finally our turn now. Guess how many people will choose to challenge us? The tall, strapping Zhang Rao was handsome and domineering. His thick, straight brows were set in an arrogant line. Standing right at the end, Bailey Zai's own handsome face was expressionless. He was not looking at any one of the fighters, but was turned in the direction of the Bailey clan, focusing on that slender, pale figure. He appeared oblivious to his surroundings. Mu Firuo's eyes were lowered the entire time. She also seemed indifferent to what was happening around them. On the side, the petite and adorable Sang Feiyu beamed at Zhang Rao's words. The two of them had always gotten on pretty well. As much as Brother Zhang wants a bit of exercise, you still need someone to challenge you first. Don't forget that with the change in rules this year, we have 4 empty spots for them to fight over this year. They may not choose to challenge us at all. Chapter 1687. The challenge begins 1. I hope not. I'm seriously bored to death here. Any one of them will do. Just let me stretch out my limbs. Zhang Rao looked so despondent that Sang Feiyu couldn't help grinning in amusement. Zhang Rao was from the Zhan family, and they were known for being violent and fond of battles. The moment they were triggered, they became like wild beasts and were oblivious to pain, not stopping until the opponent was dead. It could be said that the members of the Zhan family lived for battles. Things have just started. Don't be so anxious, Brother Zhan. Bailey Xinyan smiled. Xinyan, I heard that you have come into conflict with the Jiang family recently? Zhang Rao looked at Bailey Xinyan. It's just a joke. Bailey Xinyan smiled. The Jiang family are descended from the domain monarch, and their descendants can't be that bad. I just want to exchange moves with them. To put it another way, I do want to experience the Jiang family's heavenly demon bloodline. Zhang Rao pursed his lips. No matter how nicely Bailey Xinyan tried to put it, his tone was clearly full of ridicule and scorn. This year's fighters soon selected their battle format. Out of the 20 candidates who came, most of them chose to fight amongst themselves for the 4 empty spots. Only a few chose to challenge the top fighters from the previous round. Zhang Rao's eyes burned as he gazed at those challengers. Heavens knew how desperately he wished to have a fight now. As expected, Bailey Xinyan spotted Jiang Yinyan in the group of challengers. But he didn't see Yi Qingtang. His eyes instantly darkened, and he instinctively gazed toward the Mu family. He saw Mu Wuxia, who was wearing a veil. At this moment, Mu Wuxia's eyes were like that of a venomous snake hidden in the shadows, sharp and alert to her surroundings. She clenched her fists when she didn't see Yi Qingtang in the crowd. With a sudden leap, she landed beside Bailey Xinyan. Brother Xinyan, where is that detestable Yi Qingtang? Didn't you tell me she agreed to challenge you? Wuxia, don't be so anxious. Even if she doesn't turn up today, I want to allow her to leave the island of immortal footsteps alive. Don't worry. I will never forget my promise to you, Bailey Xinyan assured her. Mu Wuxia remained petulant. After all, Yi Qingtang had embarrassed her in front of so many people that day. The hatred in her heart would not be extinguished until she got her payback tenfold. Zhang Rao overheard their conversation. He already knew Bailey Xinyan was interested in Mu Wuxia, but he had no idea who this Yi Qingtang was. Over the past weeks, he only paid attention to those who had attained the 4th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm and above, as only they were qualified to challenge him. He was completely oblivious to the rest of the people around. I say, Bailey, that Yi person must have been too scared to show up. She hasn't even reached the 4th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. How could she dare to challenge you? She's probably hiding in a corner and crying. Bailey Xinyan smiled in agreement. Even if Yi Qingtang didn't appear today, he would still keep his promise to Mu Wuxia. As he said, he would not allow Yi Qingtang to leave the island of immortal footsteps alive. The elimination battles soon began. Meanwhile, the challengers would carry out their fights in another part of the arena. Elder Qian and the rest of the others were completely thunderstruck when they saw Jiang Yinyan standing amongst the challengers. Chapter 1688. The challenge begins too. What is Jiang Yinyan doing? Didn't we already agree to play it safe? Elder Kun was shocked. Elder Qian frowned slightly but said, Jiang Yinyan is quite powerful. We previously discussed the most conservative strategy, But it would be better if he could win one of the previous top fighters and come in at a higher ranking. Just as Elder Kuan was about to speak again, he saw Elder Bailey walking over with a smile. Elder Qian, Elder Kuan. The hearts of Elder Qian and Elder Kuan dropped when they saw Elder Bailey, but they had their thoughts behind an indifferent front. Elder Bailey, I wonder if you know who Jiang Yinyan will challenge today? Elder Bailey smiled. No, we are not aware. Elder Bailey continued. What a coincidence. I heard rumors that 2 members of the Jiang family will be challenging Xianyan. Elder Qian was taken aback. 2. Looking at Jiang Xiaobai, who had already joined the fighters going for the elimination format, Elder Qian felt momentarily puzzled. But he suddenly thought of Yi Qingtang, who had yet to appear. Could it be that Yi Qingtang was also going to challenge Bailey Xianyan? Surely it must be a joke, right? But that is expected. Xianyan didn't perform too well in the previous competition. Even though they have the courage to challenge, it is natural they will choose the fighter which they believe to have the highest chance against. They can't possibly challenge Xier, right? His words were full of mockery. Elder Qian and the others looked very unhappy, but they were rather confident of Jiang Yanyan's abilities. Let's see if Elder Bailey could still smile when Jiang Yinyan defeated Bailey Xianyan. As expected, Jiang Yinyan announced that he was going to challenge Bailey Xianyan when he stepped onto the arena. In response, Bailey Xianyan leaped onto the arena and smirked at the cool-looking Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan, you sure have guts, and am glad you kept your word. But unfortunately, not everyone in the Jiang family is as trustworthy as you. That Yi Qingtang, is she so scared that she didn't dare to turn up? Bailey Xianyan raised his brows slightly. Jiang Yinyan said mildly. This battle is between you and me. It doesn't concern others. Bailey Xianyan smiled and continued. Looks like you are very confident. I hope that you won't lose too badly to me. After all, I heard that you are the top fighter in the Jiang family. So if you lose to me, I am afraid the Jiang family would lose all of its status in one hit. Jiang Yuran narrowed his eyes. It was impossible to not understand the provocation in Bailey Xuanyan's words. Him and all of the Jiang family youths gritted their teeth in anger. Bailey Xianyan, don't be so cocky. Our brother Yin will definitely beat you. You will be coming off that arena covered in shame. Jiang Yuran was itching to rally his support for Jiang Yinyan. A caustic smile appeared on Bailey Xuanyan's face, but he otherwise did not respond. Soon enough the battles would commence. In fights at this advanced level, neither fighter dared to make any rash moves. Zhang Rao and the rest watched the 2 standing in the arena with keen interest. I heard that Jiang Yinyan is pretty good. I also noticed him in the previous fights. He does have some pretty good skills. Jiang Yinyan is indeed quite good. He would definitely enter the top 10 if he competed in the previous competition. But he has been too impulsive in challenging Bailey Xianyan this time. Sang Feiyu chewed on her fingertips. One could not overlook the fact that every single one of these top fighters from the previous competition had already experienced the mystic realm. Chapter 1689. The challenge begins 3. The moment Sang Feiyu finished her sentence, a streak of light suddenly flashed out. Boom! A thunderous sound with an intense aftershock shook the entire surroundings. Jiang Yinyan and Bailey Xianyan moved so quickly that no one could see them clearly. Jiang Yuran could only widen his eyes in shock. What the hell? Brother Yin is this powerful? Jiang Yuran was full of respect and admiration. He seldom witnessed Jiang Yanyan's fights, and this was the first time he experienced just how mighty he was. The other Jiang family youths were even more stunned. They now understood how terrifying the battles for the top 10 were. This was definitely way beyond their league. Fighters who had attained the 4th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm were already close to the 5th heaven. And 5th heaven was when the most crucial transformative change would occur. Everyone below the arena could feel the powerful shockwaves, and they did not dare to stand too near. They subconsciously started to back away. Now this is a challenge, blood surged through Zhang Rao's veins as he watched. He was itching to get on stage to fight himself. Bailey Xianyan and Jiang Yinyan had already exchanged at least 10 blows over this short period of time. The crowd was completely dazzled by the streaks of light, and those weaker members of the audience were having difficulty breathing just from the shockwaves. Only Bailey Shi and the other fighters in the top 10 remained indifferent as they observed the fight from nearby. They appeared totally unaffected by the power exuded. Elder Qian and the rest watched on nervously from their seating area. They were feeling hopeful when they saw that Jiang Yinyan seemed to be on par with Bailey Xinyan. If Jiang Yinyan could defeat Bailey Xinyan, then he would immediately take over the 6th position. This result would be even better than they initially expected. Nevertheless, Elder Bailey continued to watch the proceedings with a smile. It must be admitted that Jiang Yinyan, as the top descendant of the Jiang family, did possess strong powers. He would have definitely have won if he was fighting against the Bailey Xinyan, who had been competing in the martial arts championship for the first time. However, things were different now. In the next second, a huge boom rocked the entire arena, and the two men flew up into the sky like a spiraling dragon. But Jiang Yinyan appeared to have suffered an injury as they clashed. The spirit energy surrounding his body cracked, and he plummeted to the ground as the powerful force from Bailey Xuanyan's attack hit him front on. Crash! The resounding crash seemed to shatter the eardrums of the crowd. Up in the empty sky, Bailey Xinyan gave a smug smile. He gazed down imperiously at the fallen, pale-faced Jiang Yinyan. At this moment, Jiang Yinyan was already bleeding profusely from the nose. His body swayed as he struggled to regain full control of his faculties. Elder Qian and the rest jumped up from their seats in shock. It looks like our Xianyan has won. Elder Bailey chuckled. That arrogant tone was utterly disgusting. After admiring the grim faces of the Jiang family, he finally turned and left. A venomous glint flashed across Bailey Xuanyan's eyes. He lifted one arm, and a streak of lightning shot down from the sky straight toward the vulnerable Jiang Yinyan. Brother Yin. Jiang Yuran's heart stopped. The stake of lightning struck Jiang Yuran. Even though he managed to surround himself with spirit energy at the last minute as a defense, he was blasted straight out of the arena and landed on the ground with a heavy thud. What followed was a deafening roar of silence. Chapter 1690, Breakthrough 1. The top fighter of the Jiang family, and that's all you've got? What a joke. Bailey Xinyan snorted as he gradually landed back on the ground. Jiang Yuran and the rest hurried over to check on Jiang Yanyan's injuries, only to discover that his chest was a bloody mess from the lightning strike. When he saw the state of Jiang Yanyan's injuries, Jiang Yuran's eyes turned mottled red from fury. He spun around furiously, ready to fight Bailey Xinyan to the death. But before Jiang Yuran could step forward, Jiang Yinyan held him back with much effort. You are not his match. Jiang Yuran froze. Bailey Xinyan chuckled. That's right. Even Jiang Yinyan has failed. Who else from your Jiang family is able to step up? Elder Qian and the rest shut their eyes at the scene. They could feel an immense pressure on their chests. Jiang Yinyan had failed. Not only that, he was gravely injured and would probably take months to recover. He would not be able to continue with the rest of the competition. It could be said that the Jiang family's hopes of having 2 members enter the top 10 were utterly destroyed now. Jiang Yinyan is a bit weaker. Bailey improved tremendously over the past few years, and it looks like he is primed to reach the 5th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. Zhang Rao shook his head in resignation when he saw the results. Jiang Yanyan's powers were also that of an advanced 4th heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, but he was just below that of Bailey Xuanyan's. The closer one was to the 5th heaven, the more powerful one was. At this moment, another thunderous boom suddenly sounded out. What's that? The crowd turned and saw a streak of golden light shooting down from the sky toward somewhere on the island of immortal footsteps. What? Someone actually had a breakthrough at this moment. Everyone was stunned by the appearance of that golden light. It was the sign of someone breaking through to the next level. Who is it? Who suddenly had a breakthrough at such a time? Elder Qian was so worried about Jiang Yanyan's defeat that he didn't think too much about someone breaking through at this moment. But Jiang Yixing hurried over then. Elder Qingtang. Qingtang, she suddenly. What? Elder Qian was startled as his heart gave a violent thud. Everyone was already gathered at the arena now. Yi Qingtang was the only person who had yet to appear. Could Yi Qingtang be the one who had achieved the breakthrough? Yi Qingtang was already at the third heaven level. If she had a breakthrough, it would mean she had attained the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? Elder Qian and Elder Kuan exchanged looks. Simultaneously, they stood up and rushed toward the location of the golden light, leaving the rest of the elders to supervise the competition. Quickly, Yi Qingtang has suddenly broken through. We must protect her, and not let anything go wrong with her breakthrough. Elder Qian was speeding over, his heart full of anxiety. Although Yi Qingtang had just broken through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, she was still not good enough to fight for a spot on the top 10. But it was nonetheless a good thing for the Jiang family. The elders had never expected that Yi Qingtang would suddenly have a breakthrough at such an important time. No wonder they had not seen her all this while. The two elders hurried over. Jiang Yixing was still panting when he glanced at them, before quickly following behind. No one else in the crowd knew who had achieved the breakthrough. Nevertheless, they could be bothered about it too much either. So no one noticed those two elders hurrying off towards the golden streak of light. Chapter 1691. Breakthrough 2. As Jiang Yanyan's injuries were very grave, Jiang Yuren quickly carried him off to seek treatment. Meanwhile, Bailey Xinyan strolled away from the arena. His lips were curled up in a sardonic smile as he watched the injured Jiang Yanyan being carried off. The entire time, Jiang Yuren glared at Bailey Xinyan. If not for Jiang Yanyan stopping him, he would probably have impulsively charged at Bailey Xinyan. Bailey Xinyan had clearly meant to cause such grievous injury to Jiang Yanyan. But even though Jiang Yuren knew of Bailey Xuanyan's evil intentions, there really wasn't anything he could do now. The clans had all witnessed Jiang Yanyan's defeat. To date, he was the most exceptional descendant of the domain monarch's bloodline. But he was not fated to break into the martial arts championship's top 10. Even though he was one of Jiang family's two biggest hopes this year, he had already been defeated by Bailey Xinyan. Bailey Xuanyan's powers have indeed improved by quite a bit. The Bailey clan really knows how to teach its disciples. The Chiu family's elder was all smiles as he congratulated Elder Bailey, who was also grinning from ear to ear. You are too kind, Elder Chiu. It's just that the opponent was too weak. Elder Bailey was smiling, but his words were full of mockery towards the Jiang family. As he spoke, Elder Bailey was standing not far off from the Jiang family members. Plus he had purposely raised his voice, so that everyone from the Jiang family could hear him. His scornful tone cut into the hearts of the Jiang family members like sharp blades. They were descended from the domain monarch. How could they be subjected to such ridicule? However, Jiang Yanyan had really been defeated by Bailey Xinyan. No matter how angry they were, they had no choice but to swallow their rage. The Bailey clan could be so arrogant because their descendants were so powerful. Not only the vastly improved Bailey Xinyan, that insurmountable Bailey Shi alone was like an enormous mountain, weighing down upon the heads of the current generation of the Jiang family. The faces of those Bailey family people, fuck. It makes me want to puke just to look at them. One of the Jiang family youths couldn't resist cursing them in a low voice. What can we do? Even Brother Yin has been defeated by Bailey Xinyan. I am afraid our Jiang family will once again fall flat on our faces in this year's martial arts championship. Another youth sighed glumly. There was still a chance for Jiang Xiaobai, who had chosen the elimination format. But the Jiang family's most powerful candidate had already failed. This had utterly disrupted the Jiang family's plans. How would they make a comeback? Even if Jiang Xiaobai could win and enter the top 10, it would be like trying to put out a raging fire with a cup of water. It was far from enough. Like that, the Jiang family youths all felt immense pressure. Even the remaining Jiang family elders all looked extremely grim. Several other challengers from the other clans went on to choose their opponent. After a few rounds of battles, they were all annihilated. This only served to demonstrate to the crowd just how terrifyingly powerful the top 10 were. After the people of the Island of Immortal Footsteps witnessed the defeat of all the challengers, they took a head count and suddenly found that one was missing. Where is the Jiang family's Yi Qingtang? Someone in the crowd piped up. At that moment, most of the other clans realized that there was indeed one person missing from the Jiang family. Although fighters could choose either the elimination or the challenge format, they could not choose the elimination format once the elimination rounds started. That Yi Qingtang must have been too scared to turn up. She has already missed the start of the elimination rounds. Even if she comes now, she has no choice but to challenge the incumbent top 10. With her current abilities, it's just as well that she doesn't show up. What an embarrassment for the Jiang family. Chapter 1692, Breakthrough 3. Even Jiang Yinyan has failed. What can that Yi Qingtang do even if she turns up? She will just end up embarrassing the Jiang family once again. In the eyes of the other clans, Jiang Yinyan and Jiang Xiaobai were the only two candidates from the Jiang family with potential. Now that Jiang Yinyan had already been defeated by Bailey Xinyan, who was ranked last in the previous competition, Yi Qingtang would just be another failure, even if she showed up. A waste of time. By now, the crowd had already disregarded Yi Qingtang. They were now entirely focused on the final results of the elimination battles. Is the Jiang family's Yi Qingtang still competing? If she still doesn't turn up, we will take it that she has forfeited her place. The organizer of the competition frowned slightly. All the challengers have already completed their battles, and they were just waiting for the results of the elimination rounds. There was no point in Yi Qingtang turning up anymore, if she failed to show up now. Brother Yin, shall I go take a look? Jiang Yiran couldn't help feeling worried when he heard that Yi Qingtang was going to be disqualified. Jiang Yinyan shook his head with a frown. He said rather weakly, "It's best that she doesn't come. You witnessed Bailey Xuanyan's powers just now. If Yi Qingtang really comes, she has no choice but to challenge one of the incumbent top 10. If even Bailey Xinyan has progressed to such a high level, the others would naturally." Jiang Yinyan didn't finish his sentence, but Jiang Yiran already knew what he meant. If even Jiang Yinyan couldn't defeat Bailey Xinyan, it would be a one-way road to hell for Yi Qingtang if she turned up now. The Jiang family elders all looked very grim. They didn't think that Yi Qingtang was good enough to enter the top 10, but her disqualification would make the Jiang family look bad. Just as the organizer was about to speak up impatiently again, Elder Qian and Elder Kuan hurried over in a flustered state. A slender figure appeared behind them. That little girl, she really came? Jiang Yiran looked up and saw Yi Qingtang behind the two elders. The shock on his face was apparent. Jiang Yanyan's brows furrowed deeper. Bailey Xinyan also noticed Yi Qingtang's arrival, and he instinctively glanced toward Mu Wuxia. As expected, Mu Wuxia immediately stood up when she saw Yi Qingtang. Her eyes were dead fixed upon Yi Qingtang. The Jiang family's Yi Qingtang has arrived. Elder Qian spoke up. Elder Qian, you guys have finally returned. The other elders of the Jiang family immediately went forward when they saw the two elders. What happened to Yi Qingtang? She knows today is the day of the challenge. Why did she arrive so late? One of the Jiang family elders asked rather unhappily. Elder Qian didn't answer him. He just looked at Yi Qingtang. Go on. Yi Qingtang nodded and leaped over to the side of the arena. Elder Qian, you are. The other elders wanted to say something, but Elder Qian shook his head, discouraging them from asking any questions. Displeasure flashed across the organizer's eyes as he gazed at the tardy Yi Qingtang, and he said stoically, "You are late. The elimination battles have already started. You have no choice but to challenge one of the 6 incumbents." Yi Qingtang nodded, as she cast a sweeping glance across the 6 fighters in the top 10 seats. She also noticed Jiang Yinyan, who was receiving medical treatment at the side. Looking at Jiang Yanyan's wretched state, and observing Bailey Xuanyan's smug demeanor, she could already guess the outcome of their earlier fight. Then she raised her head. "I want to challenge Bailey Xinyan." Chapter 1693. The fight. No one was shocked by Yi Qingtang's words. Bailey Xinyan was the last of the top 10 from the previous year. Yi Qingtang had no choice but to challenge one of the top 10, so it was natural that she would choose the lowest ranking of them all. When he heard Yi Qingtang's words, Bailey Xinyan only smirked. "Little lass, don't be too hasty. Bailey Xinyan is already an advanced 4th heaven level. Even Brother Yun is not his match." Jiang Yiran hurried up to try and stop her. Jiang Yinyan struggled to sit up and said seriously, Yi Qingtang, you are not a match for Bailey Xinyan. Don't force yourself. Since I have come to the martial arts championship, I have to finish it. Otherwise, wouldn't it be such a waste? Yi Qingtang looked at the two with a serious expression. Just as Jiang Yiran was going to say something more, the organizer had already reached the end of his patience. Yi Qingtang, if you are sure, please proceed to the arena. With that said, Yi Qingtang stepped onto the arena. Jiang Yiran and the rest were so anxious that they had a desperate urge to drag her down. Why was this little girl so stubborn? After watching Yi Qingtang ascend the arena, Bailey Xinyan turned to give Mu Rushua a reassuring look. He then leaped onto the arena and stared at Yi Qingtang with his chin lifted in arrogance. Up in their seating area, the Jiang family members were solemnly watching the two fighters in the arena. Elder Qian, although Yi Qingtang is somewhat more powerful than we previously thought, she is still far from suited to go against Bailey Xinyan. You saw earlier that even Jiang Yinyan was not Bailey Xuanyan's match. One of the elders spoke up worriedly. Although they didn't wish to see Yi Qingtang withdraw without fighting, now that she had really stepped onto the arena, they couldn't help being concerned about the huge disparity in skill level. They also didn't want to see her lose terribly. Elder Qian frowned slightly but kept silent. Elder Kuan and him had jointly shielded Yi Qingtang earlier, when she broke through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. Elder Qian had been very shocked at that time. It must be pointed out that when she first arrived at Taiyuan Valley, Yi Qingtang's powers were totally insignificant. But in just half a year, she had managed to break through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. This kind of prodigious talent was inconceivable. Elder Qian had no idea if she would produce another miracle. He was well aware of the huge disparity between someone who just ascended the fourth heaven and someone who was already in the advanced stages. Nevertheless, it might be a good thing for Yi Qingtang to have this opportunity to practice her skills. By now, the Jiang family was all tense, while the Bailey clan was extraordinarily relaxed. The Bailey clan could hardly be bothered to watch the match between Yi Qingtang and Bailey Xinyan. It was such a one-sided competition. There was no need for them to pay much attention. Up on the arena, you do have some guts. I thought you were too afraid to show up today. Bailey Xinyan smiled. He was glad that Yi Qingtang had turned up. It saved him the time and effort to look for her. Yi Qingtang stared at Bailey Xinyan without any expression. Yi Qingtang, I am not at all interested in fighting you, but you shouldn't have provoked Wuxia. What happens today? You can only blame yourself for being too foolhardy. Bailey Xinyan gave a cold smirk. Are you done? Yi Qingtang finally spoke up. Bailey Xinyan was momentarily taken aback. He never expected Yi Qingtang to behave so calmly at this point. Please make your move if you wish to avenge Mu Rushua. Yi Qingtang was not at all interested in hearing Bailey Xuanyan's little monologue. Chapter 1694. The Fourth Heaven of the Heavenly Venerate Realm, 1. There was no doubt that Bailey Xinyan was powerful, but Yi Qingtang's nonchalant dismissal of his speech made him appear long-winded and naggy. This Yi Qingtang is quite interesting. I've never actually paid much attention to her. She is probably not that powerful, but she is not at all afraid of Bailey Xinyan. Either she is a fool or she has gone crazy. Zhang Rao guffawed with his arms across his chest. Zhang Feiyu glanced at him. She felt that he was just stating the obvious. The disparity between the two of them is just too great. Even Jiang Yinyan has already been defeated, and Yi Qingtang had no choice but to choose Bailey Xinyan. Otherwise, why do you think she decided to challenge Bailey Xinyan? It looks like the current generation of the Jiang family is pretty substandard. Zhang Rao shrugged. It was obvious that the crowd were not that interested in the fight between Yi Qingtang and Bailey Xinyan. In their opinion, the results of the competition were already fixed. What was the point in watching it? Bailey Xinyan clearly felt the same. He smirked as he gazed at the foolish Yi Qingtang. Since you are so eager to die, I will help you. Standing with his hands clasped behind his back, Bailey Xinyan lifted his chin, but didn't make any move to draw his sword. He stared at Yi Qingtang with unmasked scorn. Let's not have others say that I am bullying you. I will not use any weapon in today's battle. I will also let you make the first move. The arrogance in his tone was haughty and filled with contempt. Yet the way Bailey Xianyun made his offer was as if he was truly being gracious and benevolent. As they stood before the various clans, everyone felt that his offer showed his low opinion of Yi Qingtang. He could not have been more scornful and mocking. The crowd started discussing the fight, their conversations full of ridicule and sarcasm. It was clear that they thought that this battle was a joke. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang was oblivious to her surroundings. As Bailey Xianyun raised his brows in a challenging manner, Yi Qingtang suddenly shut her eyes. What happened? The crowd, who was expecting the match to end quickly, suddenly realized that Yi Qingtang had actually closed her eyes right when the fight started. She seemed to have no intention of attacking Bailey Xianyun. What is Yi Qingtang trying to do? Is it because she knows she is no match for Bailey Xianyun and has resigned herself to her fate? Damn, she is truly shameless. Didn't you hear what Bailey Xianyun said earlier? He was going to let Yi Qingtang make the first move? If Yi Qingtang doesn't strike first, Bailey Xianyun can't strike either. That Yi Qingtang is really shameless. Are members of the Jiang family such sore losers? The crowd couldn't help murmuring as they watched Yi Qingtang, who was standing motionless in the arena with her eyes closed. Elder Qian and the rest couldn't help frowning. Although they knew that Yi Qingtang was no match for Bailey Xianyun, she represented the Jiang family the moment she stepped into the arena. If she was going to stoop to such cheap tricks, this would only add to the embarrassment of the Jiang family. From his position opposite her, Bailey Xianyun was in no hurry. He was very pleased at how the crowd was mocking Yi Qingtang, and he didn't mind playing along with Yi Qingtang for the moment. Anyway, she was just embarrassing herself and the Jiang family, so what did it matter? But just as everyone thought Yi Qingtang was just trying to stall for time, she suddenly opened her eyes again. A harsh light flashed past Yi Qingtang's eyes as a hazy black spirit energy suddenly enveloped her entire body. Chapter 1695. The Fourth Heaven of the Heavenly Venerate Realm, 2. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qingtang suddenly drew out her sword, and her spirit energy gathered around her weapon, moving along with it as she slashed about. A streak of sword energy suddenly shot toward the confident Bailey Xianyun. Everyone was shocked at Yi Qingtang's attack. No one expected Yi Qingtang to strike suddenly, and without any attempt to conceal her move. She had launched such a direct streak of sword energy. Bailey Xianyun gave a scornful smirk as he gazed at the incoming sword energy. With his fourth heaven-level powers, all attacks below this level would be totally useless against him. Bailey Xianyun raised one hand disdainfully to block the attack. But the moment the sword energy touched Bailey Xuanyun's arm, he felt an intense pain radiating from the point of contact. Fuck. What was happening? Instinctively, Bailey Xianyun focused his own spirit energy on his arm to shield against the sword energy. Even so, fresh blood was already dripping down from Bailey Xuanyun's sleeve. How can that be? Bailey Xianyun gazed at the wound on his own arm. Astonishment flashed across his eyes, and he gazed up at Yi Qingtang with a tight frown. Impossible. Bailey Xianyun had witnessed the fight between Yi Qingtang and Wuxia. Yi Qingtang was at most just at the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. She showed no signs of ascending to the level of the fourth heaven. However, Yi Qingtang's attack was far beyond that of someone at the third heaven level. Just what was going on? Still in a daze, Bailey Xianyun suddenly recalled the golden beam, which had suddenly appeared earlier. You have broken through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? Bailey Xianyun furrowed his brows as he glared at Yi Qingtang. He completely didn't expect Yi Qingtang to have ascended to the fourth heaven level within just a few short days. Zhang Rao couldn't help being taken aback when he heard Bailey Xuanyun's statement. Yi Qingtang is at the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm level now? Impossible. I would have noticed her. It wasn't just Zhang Rao. Nearly everyone thought that Yi Qingtang was below the fourth heaven level. No one expected Yi Qingtang to break through to the fourth heaven in just a few days' time. Bailey Xianyun narrowed his eyes at Yi Qingtang. He had underestimated his opponent, but it didn't matter. Not bad. I didn't expect you to get a breakthrough at such a time. But unfortunately, you are still not my match. A powerful wave of spirit energy suddenly radiated from Bailey Xianyan the moment he finished his words. The power of a fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm enveloped the entire arena. Although they were both on the fourth heaven level, the fighter who was at the advanced stage could easily crush an opponent who had just ascended. Yi Qingtang became more vigilant as she observed the energy radiating from Bailey Xianyan. As she had just broken through to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, she was well aware of the differences between the early and advanced stages. You have made your attack. Yi Qingtang, it's my turn now. Bailey Xianyan exuded an intense murderous aura as his spirit energy morphed into an enormous golden dragon. Shit, things look bad. Little girl, be careful. Jiang Yuran's heart gave a violent jolt when he saw Bailey Xuanyan's attack. After all, Jiang Yinyan had been defeated by Bailey Xuanyan's golden dragon attack. Chapter 1696. The Fourth Heaven of the Heavenly Venerate Realm 3. Yi Qingtang raised her head to look at the enormous golden dragon. There was no fear or anxiety in her eyes. She gathered the power in her body and emitted a pale glow. That glow became increasingly intense. Although it only enveloped her body, the dazzling light made it difficult for anyone to make out her profile. Even now you are just struggling in the mouth of death. Bailey Xianyan was full of disdain as he gazed at the glowing Yi Qingtang. He leaped into the air and merged into his golden dragon. In the next second, the golden dragon dove toward that glowing ball. The enormous golden dragon opened its jaws, as if it was going to swallow Yi Qingtang whole. Boom! The golden dragon and the ball of light collided, and the resulting intense rays of light blinded everyone in the crowd. No one was able to see what happened. Jiang Yuran and the others had stepped onto the arena in their anxiousness, and the shockwaves from the collision shook the earth beneath their feet. Elder Bailey was all smiles at the sight. He turned slightly to gaze at the Jiang family elders, his eyes filled with arrogance. She just ascended to the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. How could she even dream of competing with Xianyan? Some people really think too highly of themselves. Elder Qian and the rest were very fretful as they gazed at the devastated arena. They were discreetly sighing and shaking their heads on the inside. As expected, she was not able to put up any sort of defense. Just as everyone thought the battle had ended now that Bailey Xianyan had attacked, a loud sound resonated from above the arena. The intense light rays faded, and the golden dragon appeared to be slowly dissipating from a pure white source of light. After all the light faded away, two figures appeared in front of the crowd. How is that possible? Elder Bailey was taken aback, and he sat up in shock. Inside the arena, Bailey Xianyan was frowning at Yi Qingtang, who was still standing right in front of him. She was panting slightly, but appeared to be completely unharmed. It wasn't just Elder Bailey. Even Elder Qian and the rest were stunned. It must be pointed out that Bailey Xianyan had used the same attack to cause grievous injury to Jiang Yinyan. If even Jiang Yinyan could not defend against the might of that golden dragon, how did Yi Qingtang do it? It was impossible. At this point, Bailey Xianyan was full of doubt at the turn in events. Only he knew himself that he hadn't held back at all during his earlier attack. He had every intention of killing Yi Qingtang with one blow, and then stepping upon her dead body. He didn't expect Yi Qingtang to be totally unharmed by this attack. How is this possible? So that's the extent of the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? Yi Qingtang lifted her gaze to look at the stiff-faced Bailey Xianyan. Bailey Xianyan was momentarily taken aback. But then he gave a smirk. Yi Qingtang, I was just warming up. Do you really think you can withstand a full attack from me? Although he didn't know how Yi Qingtang managed to defend against his attack, Bailey Xianyan was not at all discouraged from his drive to kill her. You can try. Yi Qingtang remained impassive. She continued to look at Bailey Xianyan with mild, chilly eyes. A fighter who had just ascended the fourth heaven level would normally never be able to defeat an opponent in the advanced stages. However, she was holding a trump card, making her different from anyone else. Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven. If she didn't possess the heritage of the Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven, Yi Qingtang would never have risked going head-on against Bailey Xianyan. But now she did have the power to fight him. Chapter 1697. I am beating you 1. Unaware of Yi Qingtang's trump card, Bailey Xianyan assumed it was probably because he was still not at full power yet after his fight with Jiang Yinyan. If anything, he was even more enraged by Yi Qingtang's arrogant statement. Yi Qingtang, be careful what you say. Let me give you a taste of my thunderbolt rage. Bailey Xianyan scoffed, and in the next second, a huge storm cloud covered the entirety of the island of immortal footsteps. Bolts of lightning flashed within the dark cloud, while howling winds tunneled wildly through the air. The crowd was dumbstruck by the tremendous thunder clouds. Was Bailey Xianyan really moving in for the kill this time? The Thunderbolt Rage was the Bailey clan's most powerful attack. Of the current generation, only Bailey Shi had mastered this technique. In the previous martial arts championship, Bailey Shi had used the Thunderbolt Rage to secure his top spot. Who would have thought? Bailey Xianyan had managed to learn this technique over the past few years. Thunder boomed and lightning flashed ominously. It was like the entire island was going to be torn apart. Lit up by the lightning flashes, Bailey Xuanyan's face took on a malevolent expression. Elder Qian immediately stood up when he saw the Thunderbolt Rage. Elder Bailey, what does your Bailey Xianyan mean by doing this? Elder Qian glared at Elder Bailey. The Thunderbolt Rage was too powerful. Once launched, it was a one-way road to hell for the opponent. After Bailey Shi released his Thunderbolt Rage in the previous competition, his opponent had died on spot. There wasn't even any time to try and save him. Although death was part and parcel of the martial arts championship, Yi Qingtang was nearly one whole level below that of Bailey Xianyan. Yet he was still going to make use of such a powerful move. Wasn't he clearly trying to kill Yi Qingtang? This was not just to win. It was to kill. Elder Bailey chuckled. I really don't know how to answer Elder Qian's question. All is fair inside the arena. I am just waiting for the win. Don't tell me the Jiang family wants to control the moves of the other fighters as well? Wouldn't that be a bit too much? Anger flashed past Elder Qian's eyes. Waiting for the win. This was blatant slaughter, not a competition. You can only blame your own Jiang family members for not being powerful enough. Elder Bailey smirked. The faces of the Jiang family elders went red with anger. His words were equivalent to a slap in the face. In the arena, Yi Qingtang's eyes were sharp as she gazed up at the gathering storm clouds. Yi Qingtang, you brought this upon yourself. Bailey Xianyan cried out viciously. The moment he spoke those words, countless lightning bolts descended from the sky. Streaks of lightning merged and morphed into the form of a dragon, charging straight at Yi Qingtang. Boom! Thunderous sounds engulfed the entire arena. Even the sturdy arena was now marked by jagged streaks by the lightning strikes. Dust and ash filled the air, as if the cloud had descended onto earth. All anyone could see was the brilliant dazzle of the lightning streaks, as well as Bailey Xuanyan's malevolent and venomous smile. Yi Qingtang, let's see if you can still make it out alive. The faces of Elder Qian and the rest were beyond grim. There was no way Yi Qingtang was strong enough to survive the Thunderbolt Rage. Elder Qian couldn't help feeling a tightness in his heart as he thought of Yi Qingtang's recently discovered talent. Right at that moment, a figure suddenly broke through the lightning and charged straight at the smug-faced Bailey Xianyan. Chapter 1698. I am beating you too. What? The smile on Bailey Xuanyan's face froze. Somehow, Yi Qingtang didn't die under the lightning strikes. Although she was wounded by the lightning, her gaze remained sharp as a knife. The sword in her hand morphed into a cold light, and as Bailey Xianyan stood there still in a daze, she stabbed the beam of light straight into his shoulder. It was apparent Bailey Xianyan never expected Yi Qingtang to survive the Thunderbolt Rage. He was totally caught off guard by her sudden attack. The beam of light pierced straight through Bailey Xuanyan's shoulder. Before Bailey Xianyan could recompose himself, the sword in Yi Qingtang's hand dissolved into countless pins of light, which pierced all over Bailey Xuanyan's body. How could this be? Bailey Xuanyan's heart turned cold. He suddenly realized that Yi Qingtang's speed and power was far higher than before. This was not the kind of ability achievable by a fighter who had just ascended the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. The stricken Bailey Xianyun hurriedly tried to counterattack. But in a matter of seconds, he was so gravely injured that his movements were stunted, while Yi Qingtang moved increasingly faster. How was this even possible? Just as Bailey Xianyun was at a loss at how to handle her, Yi Qingtang suddenly leaped into the air. In between the flashes of lightning and rolls of thunder, her slender frame dove straight down, and she landed one vicious kick, right on Bailey Xuanyun's head. Bam! Bailey Xianyun felt like his head was being split into half by a tremendous force. Fresh blood gushed from his mouth. His tall, strapping body staggered backwards. Everyone's eyes widened in shock at this unbelievable turn of events. What kind of joke was this? A fighter who had just ascended the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm, gravely injuring an opponent who was already at the advanced stage? Elder Bailey's arrogant face instantly darkened when he saw Bailey Xianyun spurting blood from his lips. And yet, before Elder Bailey could regain his composure, Yi Qingtang increased her speed yet again. Bailey Xianyun had yet to stabilize himself when Yi Qingtang appeared behind him. She launched a heavy kick at his back, nearly breaking the bones in Bailey Xuanyun's body. At this point, Bailey Xuanyun's mind was filled with an intense buzzing sound. He could not figure out how Yi Qingtang managed to dodge his thunderbolt rage attack, and how she could suddenly increase her speed by so much. Bailey Xianyun could not understand it at all. Moreover, he had no time to think. Tossing her sword aside, Yi Qingtang attacked Bailey Xianyun with her bare fists. This simple knuckle-on-flesh attack made Bailey Xianyun look utterly weak and ridiculous. If Yi Qingtang had used some secret technique, he could still find some excuse for his defeat. But she was just using basic kicks and punches, and still managing to beat Bailey Xianyun to a pulp. Advanced stage of the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? So what? He was now defenseless against the fists of a new fourth heaven level fighter. This was totally unbelievable. High up in her seating area, Wuxia had turned pale when she saw this familiar attack method. Her clenched fists started to tremble uncontrollably. That day, Yi Qingtang had used this exact same basic attack to beat her up. History had a startling way of repeating itself. Chapter 1699. I am beating you 3. Bailey Xianyun was not the only one knocked out by Yi Qingtang's fists. The rest of the crowd were also stunned. In the beginning, Zhang Rao had little expectations towards this battle, and thought that the results were a given. But he was so shocked that his jaws had nearly dropped down to the floor. Although he still didn't think that Yi Qingtang would be a match for him, it was nonetheless a shocking sight to see the fourth heaven level Bailey Xianyun beaten down to the ground by someone with her bare knuckles. Damn, that Yi Qingtang, she's so fierce. This was the first time he was seeing a female beating up someone in such a basic, crude manner. Although basic and crude, the sight of it was startling. Bailey Xianyun was already swollen and bruised all over. Even his sight was all blurry, and his head was spinning from being beaten so thoroughly. He could hear the shocked mutterings of the audience. The immense shame of his situation threatened to swallow him whole. How did things end up like this? He had trained so hard these years, the sole purpose of which was to overtake Bailey's Eye's #1 spot. But now, he was being publicly humiliated by this insignificant Yi Qingtang. Arg! With an enraged roar, Bailey Xianyun suddenly drew out his sword and charged toward Yi Qingtang, like a bloodthirsty maniac. Not a second later, Yi Qingtang gripped Bailey Xuanyun's wrist and gave it a vicious twist. With a loud crack, Bailey Xuanyun's wrist was instantly broken. The sword was flung away and landed with its tip driven straight into the ground. Yi Qingtang. In intense pain, Bailey Xianyun dove forward like a crazed, wild beast to try and grab Yi Qingtang by the waist. He wanted to shove her toward the exposed blade of his sword. At this point, he no longer cared about showing off any fancy techniques. He just wanted to tear Yi Qingtang apart with his own bare hands. But Yi Qingtang leaped into the air and evaded Bailey Xuanyun's charging motion. With a turn of her feet, she kicked Bailey Xianyun from the back. The vicious kick sent Bailey Xianyun flying forward. His head made direct contact with the blade of his sword. Thick blood sprayed all over. The sharp sword had shaved off nearly of Bailey Xuanyun's head. White brain matter mixed with fresh blood splattered all over the floor of the arena. Like that, Bailey Xianyan died in a pool of his own blood. Unfortunately, even up till the moment before his death, he still didn't understand how he could have lost to a new fourth heaven-level fighter like Yi Qingtang. Bailey Xianyan had died, and in a most humiliating manner. Elder Bailey widened his eyes in shock as he stared at Bailey Xianyan sprawled in a pool of blood with half his head missing. He stood up and glared at Elder Qian. Elder Qian, look at what your Yi Qingtang has done. Elder Qian was also shocked. Even until the final moment, he still never thought that Yi Qingtang could be the winner. Yi Qingtang had won? Had she really won? An immense sense of joy instantly filled Elder Qian's heart. As Elder Bailey continued to holler at him, he turned calmly to face him. There's no need for Elder Bailey to be so agitated. Didn't you say it earlier? All's fair once they step foot into the arena. It's impossible to completely avoid death and injury, is it not? I can only say that your Bailey Xianyan is not powerful enough. Elder Qian had maliciously turned Elder Bailey's earlier words back at him in a way that made the latter want to throw up blood. It was a great feeling to be able to do such a thing. Elder Bailey's face went red with anger. Now that the situation had changed, Elder Qian had no time to bother about Elder Bailey. He couldn't help grinning from ear to ear. Chapter 1700, Top 10-1. In all of his wildest dreams, Elder Qian had never expected that Yi Qingtang would win the challenge. Somehow, she had managed to secure a spot on the top 10. The Jiang family had the initial goal of having 2 members enter the top 10. Only then could they recover the humiliation of losing in the previous few martial arts championships. Jiang Yanyan's defeat had completely destroyed the elders' hopes. But Yi Qingtang had surpassed all expectations and entered the top 10. Elder Qian, it was a good decision to hand Yi Qingtang over to you. She has become so outstanding with your guidance. The other Jiang family elders all turned to congratulate Elder Qian. It was the domain monarch founder who had brought Yi Qingtang to Taiyuan Valley. But after the domain monarch founder left, the elders in the valley were all reluctant to mentor this mediocre teenage girl who hadn't started training from a young age. Like that, Elder Qian had been given the impossible task of mentoring Yi Qingtang. Her current victory was exceptionally shocking to everyone. Words of gratitude spewed out from the other elders, but Elder Qian felt rather ashamed. I had nothing to do with her current abilities. She attained them all by herself. I just taught her some basics, that's all. Elder Qian is too modest. Elder Qian shook his head with a rueful smile. It was true that he had been neutral toward the task of mentoring Yi Qingtang. He didn't completely neglect her, but he also didn't go out of his way to guide her. He never expected her to perform so well and end up boosting his own name too. Up in her searing area, Wuxia was dumbstruck as she stared at the bloodied Bailey Xianyan. She remained in a trance for a long time. Never had she imagined that things would end up in this way. Bailey Xianyan had lost? Impossible. Wuxia was not the only one in shock. Those who had never noticed Yi Qingtang before now realized that the Jiang family had been hiding such a talented and powerful young lady. She could defeat an opponent of a higher level than her. After Yi Qingtang descended from the arena, Jiang Yixing was all smiles as he rushed toward her. Qingtang, how naughty of you. You've been concealing your vast powers from us. Yi Qingtang didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she stared at Jiang Yixing. She had never tried to conceal anything. She just didn't like to show off. Nearby, Jiang Yiran was also smiling at Yi Qingtang, but he was mindful of Jiang Yanyan's earlier defeat and kept his elation to a minimum. Brother Yin, shall I help you back to rest? Jiang Yiran asked Jiang Yanyan. At this point, Jiang Yiran's inner mind was in turmoil. He thought Brother Yin was already the most powerful Jiang family member from the current generation, but he had lost to Bailey Xianyan. Meanwhile, the overlooked Yi Qingtang had killed Bailey Xianyan in such a manner. In that case, didn't that mean this little girl was even more powerful than Brother Yin? Jiang Yiran felt increasingly shocked as he pondered the situation. Although he was happy for Yi Qingtang, he was also worried about Jiang Yanyan being upset. Meanwhile, Jiang Yanyan didn't say anything. He just left to receive treatment for his injuries. The elimination battles soon progressed to the final stages, with 4 fighters emerging victorious. Amongst these 4, 2 were from the Qiu family. The well-known Qiu Chun and a teenage girl Qiu Ci had exceeded everyone's expectations to enter the top 10. Before the results of the elimination round, no one had even noticed her presence. Chapter 1701, Top 10-2. In the elimination battles, Qiu Ci had displayed astonishing fighting skills. No one expected this timid young lady, who didn't even dare to look anyone in the eye, was even more ferocious and terrifying than a demon when she fought. Apart from the 2 Qiu family fighters, the other 2 were a young man from the Wu family and the Jiang family's Jiang Xiaobai. With Yi Qingtang's victory, the Jiang family now had 2 people inside the top 10. Elder Qian and the others were very satisfied with this result. In this way, the top 10 had been decided, and the Jiang family had managed to regain some respect. It was hard for Elder Qian and the rest to contain the smiles of joy on their faces. They were also extremely happy with Yi Qingtang's efforts. The Jiang family were in a celebratory mood, but the Mu family and the Bailey family were in turmoil. Unexpectedly, the Bailey family had lost a talented young fighter. Even more painful to them was the fact that Bailey Xianyan had died in the hands of Yi Qingtang. Meanwhile, over at the Mu family side, Mu Ruxia was crying and wailing. Still refusing to back down, she sought out Mu Feirua and demanded her to attack Yi Qingtang when they entered the mystic realm. It was very common for fighters to suffer injury or death inside the mystic realm, but Mu Feirua remained silent on Mu Ruxia's request, causing the latter to grit her teeth in anger. The martial arts championship had propped the young talents of all the various clans onto history's stage. Apart from those who were already famous, Yi Qingtang and Qiu Ci were the ones who had caught the attention of the crowd. These 2 had been completely disregarded previously, but had let everyone see their hidden power today. The top 10 had emerged, and the ones chosen to enter the mystic realm were also confirmed. After just a few days' rest, they would step directly into the mystic realm. Elder Qian and the rest specially requested Yi Qingtang and Jiang Xiaobai to see them, so that they could discuss the mystic realm. The mystic realm in the Island of Immortal Footsteps possesses unknown depths. You must be very careful when you enter. We are not asking for the 2 of you to try and gain as much as possible while inside. The most important thing is to protect yourself. Elder Qian was no longer smiling, but instead looked very stern. I wonder what the mystic realm is like. Yi Qingtang mused. Elder Qian shook his head. I don't know. Yi Qingtang was slightly taken aback. Although the Jiang family had lost in the previous few martial arts championship, they did have some very powerful predecessors who had entered the mystic realm before. How could they not know? Elder Qian seemed to have noticed Yi Qingtang's doubts, so he continued. The mystic realm of the Island of Immortal Footsteps is very special. It is different every single time one enters it. The Jiang family members who had entered it previously compared their experiences and found that nothing was the same. So each entry is like a fresh start, no matter how many times one has entered the mystic realm. Why else do you think those people from the previous competition fought for the chance to enter once again? The mystic realm in the Island of Immortal Footsteps was also called the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm. It was like it encompassed everything in the world. It was a different scenario every time one entered the realm. Nothing could be predicted. Yi Qingtang was stunned by his words. She had struggled so hard to enter the top 10, just so she could find clues about her own mother. But now, the mystic realm she was going to enter would be completely different from the one her mother entered? How was she to find any clues then? Yi Qingtang suddenly felt that she was very tragic. Chapter 1702, Top Beauty Rankings 1. Although I don't know what it looks like, the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm is very dangerous. You must not underestimate it. Not only that, it also offers a lot of opportunities for gain. You too must be extra careful inside and take care of each other. Elder Qian looked at Jiang Xiaobai and Yi Qingtang. Death and injuries were very common inside the mystic realm. There were also countless people who have gone missing inside the realm. No one knew if they had been killed by the innate dangers of the realm, or were harmed by fighters from the other clans. Sister Qing and I will take care of each other. Jiang Xiaobai grinned. Right in front of all Elder Qian, he unabashedly looped one arm around Yi Qingtang's. The corners of Elder Qian's lips twitched when he saw Jiang Xiaobai's brazen manner, but he quickly recomposed himself. Good. Thereafter, Elder Qian instructed Yi Qingtang and Jiang Xiaobai on some other things to take note of. Time was not fixed inside the Immortal Footsteps mystic realm. No one could predict when they would emerge. They left after listening to Elder Qian's warnings. Yi Qingtang didn't waste the several days of rest. She spent every minute and second cultivating. Bailey Zuanyan's powers were not that much higher than hers. As a result, she could just about manage him. She would probably have been annihilated if she had been matched up against more powerful opponents like Bailey Shi. These thoughts meant that Yi Qingtang did not dare to slacken off when she thought of how she would have to face the powerful ancient Yu clan in future. Yi Qingtang was very hardworking, but some people kept interrupting her attempts to concentrate on cultivating. On the day before she was to enter the Immortal Footsteps mystic realm, Jiang Yixing and Jiang Ran charged into Yi Qingtang's room and dragged her out, leaving a dumbstruck little white tiger behind. Damn, was this a kidnapping? Before Yi Qingtang could understand what those two rascals wanted, she had been dragged to the island of Immortal Footsteps restaurant. The inside of the restaurant was packed to the brim. Most of the youths from the various clans had gathered inside the main hall, all engaged in some kind of heated discussion. Why have you brought me here? Yi Qingtang looked in exasperation at the two guys, one on either side of her, holding onto her arms. Of course it's for something good. Jiang Yixing chuckled. Yi Qingtang got goosebumps all over just from hearing his chuckle. Today is the release of the top beauty rankings. Previously you garnered quite a substantial number of votes over Mu Wuxia, but the past few days of the voting results have been kept a secret. So we'll only know the final results today. If all goes as expected, the top beauty of this year's martial arts championship will be you. Jiang Yiran grinned. Yi Qingtang felt her scalp go numb. She shrugged off the two guys and turned to leave. What a nuisance. She didn't have to depend on her looks to survive, all right? What top beauty? But there was no way Jiang Yixing and Jiang Yiran would let Yi Qingtang leave. They reached out and dragged her back. Let go of me, Yi Qingtang hissed. Don't go, the results will be announced soon. No harm hanging around to listen, Jiang Yixing urged cheerily. I will beat the two of you up if you don't let go right now. Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes. Jiang Yiran and Jiang Yixing immediately let go. Having personally witnessed Yi Qingtang beat up Bailey Xianyan, they were naturally afraid of her violent fists. They would rather die an immediate death by a single stroke than get punched and kicked to a pulp. Chapter 1703. Top Beauty Rankings 2. Yi Qingtang was about to slink off, but before she could step out, she suddenly saw Mu Wuxia and Mu Pharaoh leading a group of Mu family members in through the main door. She should never have stepped out of the house today. Over the past few days, Mu Wuxia's facial injuries had healed, and she had specially dressed up to the nines today. Her face instantly darkened when she noticed Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang, are you leaving? Why are you afraid that you will be humiliated when it is announced that you've lost? Mu Wuxia smirked. Yi Qingtang couldn't be bothered to answer the antagonistic Mu Wuxia. Although she couldn't be bothered, the two guys who had dragged her over were more than happy to retort on her behalf. Mu Wuxia, you are the one who is afraid of being humiliated, right? Just a few days ago, the number of votes for our girl was much higher than yours. You can't possibly have turned the tide in just a few days? Jiang Yiran was instantly incensed at the sight of Mu Wuxia. Every single word he uttered was dripping with venom. You are such a loser. Who are you to say anything? Mu Wuxia snorted. But Jiang Yiran was very thick-skinned. Losers can't talk? But I see that you have spoken quite a lot of words in front of our girl. What? The bruises on your face have faded, and so you have forgotten how painful it was that day? You. Mu Wuxia was enraged at the mention of that incident, but she quickly curbed her anger. Forget it, I can't be bothered to talk to you. The results of the top beauty rankings will be out soon. We will see then just who is this year's top beauty. With that, Mu Rushua glanced at the modestly dressed Yi Qingtang and said in a mocking tone, "So what if you can fight? You are just a basic brute. Your eyesight is terrible. You should get treatment immediately." Jiang Yuran quickly retorted. Quite a number of people in the main hall had witnessed this little exchange rather impassively, but they were slightly shocked when they noticed one of the Mu family youths standing behind Mu Rushua. That person discreetly nodded at them. Yi Qingtang could feel the onset of a headache as she listened to the useless squabble. However, she couldn't just walk off now as Jiang Yuran was speaking up for her. The top beauty rankings would be announced soon. Mu Rushua and the rest diverted their attention away from the trio to await the results. I find it strange that Mu Rushua is so confident. Why is she so sure that she will win against you? She was behind by so many votes just a few days ago. Is she unable to count? Jiang Yixing was very curious. To be honest, Yi Qingtang just wanted this entire thing to end as soon as possible. She did not care for the rankings at all. But as the restaurant servants carried out the box containing the results, her expression took on a somewhat bizarre shift. Dear all, today is the date of the top beauty rankings announcement. But a small incident happened last night. Someone opened the box containing the votes and stole them. I am very sorry. The servant spoke with a hint of exasperation. This top beauty ranking was just a frivolous thing created by the youths of the various clans to pass time. The servants just happened to be enlisted to help collect the votes, and they placed little importance on the matter, and so didn't install strict security on it. A huge commotion erupted at his words, but a smile appeared on Mu Ruxia's face. Since the votes are lost, there's no choice but to start all over again. But the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm will be open tomorrow, and apart from the top 10 who will remain on the island, the rest of us will be leaving first thing tomorrow morning. I'm afraid there isn't enough time, one of the youths lamented. Chapter 1704. Top Beauty Rankings 3. That's easy. We have quite a number of people here at present. Why don't we just take a vote now? Someone suddenly piped up, and several others immediately voiced out their support. Damn, this sounds like a scam. Jiang Yixing was enraged. It was clearly one of the Mu family youths who had suggested a fresh vote. I pointed out just now how weird it was that Mu Rushua is so confident. So that's why. It's because she already prepared this little scheme. I think she must have known she had lost, and so she secretly got someone to steal the votes. She dressed up so splendidly today just waiting for this moment. Jiang Yuran smacked his own forehead. He was speechless by the lengths Mu Rushua would go to just to get the top beauty accolade. Jiang Yuran scanned the crowd and discovered that most of the people at present belonged to the Mu and the Bailey families. The rest were all disciples who were on friendly terms with the two families as well. He immediately realized that things were not looking good for them. This had clearly been orchestrated by Mu Rushua. Previously, the rankings had been publicly updated every day, and the final results were more or less confirmed. Those who were placed at the bottom would naturally have no interest in coming to watch the final announcement. The other members of their own clans were also not interested in attending. No wonder there are so many people here today. I suspect Mu Rushua must have made them come. Jiang Yuran gritted his teeth. Apart from the 20 or so customers who were here for lunch, the rest of the crowd were all Mu Ruxia's people. Mu Rushua would definitely get first place if they put it to a vote now. Girl, just wait. Oh, go get our friends here now. Jiang Yuran was very angry and regretted the fact that he hadn't thought of calling the others over in the first place. Never mind. I don't care about this top beauty ranking anyway, Yi Qingtang said. Do you really not care, or are you just finding an excuse because you are not as beautiful as me? Mu Rushua asked sarcastically when she overheard Yi Qingtang's words. Mu Rushua, you are so despicable. You clearly cheated. Jiang Yixing scolded her. I cheated? What a joke. What proof do you have that I cheated? Even if we carry out a fresh vote, it will be done right here and now. If Yi Qingtang is truly confident of her own looks, she won't be afraid of having a fresh vote, right? Mu Rushua folded her arms smugly across her chest. Ugh. Jiang Yixing ground his teeth so hard he felt he could taste blood. But Jiang Yiran just dashed out the door, all prepared to summon the other members of the Jiang family. Mu Rushua chuckled at Jiang Yiran's disappearing profile. It won't mean anything even if you get all the people from the Jiang family over. The audience's eyes are bright and clear. They can easily tell beauty from ugliness. With that, Mu Rushua turned and walked off. Just based on Bailey Shi and Mu Firuo's high standing, plenty of youths from the other clans were willing to vote for Mu Rushua just to maintain good relations. As for Yi Qingtang, there were at most 20 people from the Jiang family. It was far from enough to beat the number of people on Mu Ruxia's side. The new voting soon started. As commanded by Mu Rushua, those people wrote her name on their votes. Only those customers who were there purely for lunch. They felt that Yi Qingtang was truly more beautiful, and so wrote her name. But those few customers were just a drop in the bucket. The restaurant servant counted the votes and Mu Rushua was the clear winner. It seems like a certain person's appearance is just ordinary and common. Mu Rushua smirked. The provocation had Jiang Yixing jumping in rage. He was itching to toss in 100 votes himself. In his life he had seen plenty of shameless people, but none of them were as shameless as Mu Rushua. Chapter 1705. Top Beauty Rankings 4. How could Mu Rushua have the cheek to claim that she was more beautiful than Yi Qingtang? Was she blind? Yi Qingtang, don't forget that you will need to disfigure yourself if you lose. Mu Rushua gazed at her high number of votes with a venomous gleam in her eye. Yi Qingtang stared at Mu Rushua confidently, and only said calmly, "You are the one who has forgotten." What? Mu Rushua was taken aback. Jiang Yixing immediately piped up. Mu Rushua, have you gone stupid with fear? Qingtang already said she wasn't going to take up the bet. In the end, Bailey Xianyan agreed that if she challenged him and won, the bet would be off. Bailey Xuanyan's dead body is turning cold by now. The bet is no longer valid. Mu Ruxia's face froze. She suddenly remembered this matter. But there was no way she was willing to give up such a good opportunity to seek vengeance on Yi Qingtang. This bet is between Yi Qingtang and I. What does Bailey Xianyan have to do with it? I never said that the bet is off. Bystanders' words are not counted. Jiang Yixing felt that Mu Rushua was increasingly pushing the limits to the word shameless. Don't tell me the members of the Jiang family are all liars who break their promises? Are you all cowardly jokes? Mu Rushua smirked. A slight frown marred Yi Qingtang's face. She was no longer interested in wasting words with Mu Rushua. Who said my sister Qing is a liar? Jiang Xiaobai suddenly boomed out. He strolled into the restaurant and clung onto Yi Qingtang's arm as he stared at the imperious-looking Mu Rushua. This bet is so exciting, of course we must continue it. Let's see who wins. Xiaobai. Jiang Yixing stared at Jiang Xiaobai in a daze. Did this fool know what was going on? Mu Rushua smiled when she heard Jiang Xiaobai's words. You said it yourself. Don't regret it. Of course we won't regret it. But I worry that you will be the one who ends up regretting it. Jiang Xiaobai grinned. Mu Rushua snorted softly. I have always kept my word. If I lose today, I will disfigure myself in front of everyone. Oh, a light scar will also be considered a disfigurement. Who can be sure you will do it properly? Jiang Xiaobai asked. All right. The winner will disfigure the loser then. Mu Rushua immediately added. She was now suspecting Jiang Xiaobai of holding some grudge against Yi Qingtang. Why was he saying things that worsened things for her? Mu Rushua was just itching to personally destroy Yi Qingtang's little face. You'll keep your word? Jiang Xiaobai asked. With everyone here as my witness, I guarantee my word. Mu Rushua answered confidently. Jiang Xiaobai smiled and gazed up at Yi Qingtang. Sister Qing, I have yet to congratulate you for entering the top 10. Just as well I have a small gift for you today. With that, Jiang Xiaobai suddenly walked over to the restaurant servant. He opened his space ring and emptied a bunch of paper slips right on the table. I came to the restaurant last night as I was feeling rather hungry. And guess what I saw? There was a person sneaking around outside. I caught him and discovered something very, very interesting. Jiang Xiaobai grinned as he spoke. The restaurant servant was shocked when he saw those paper slips in front of him. They were the missing voting slips. Chapter 1706. Tasting the Consequences 1. Mu Ruxia's face went completely pale when she saw those voting slips that had been lost and found. How did those voting slips end up in Jiang Xiaobai's possession? Mu Ruxia instinctively looked at the youth who had been tasked to steal those votes. He was also looking very grim. He clearly remembered taking those votes and burning them together with the box. How was it that those votes were not burnt? Could you please check to see if these are the missing votes? Jiang Xiaobai asked the restaurant servant, completely ignoring Mu Ruxia's stoic expression. The servant gave a start before nodding with a smile. Although they were the organizers of the top beauty rankings, they were actually only in charge of storing the votes. Nevertheless, it looked bad on them that the votes went missing. They were naturally relieved that the votes had been recovered. Jiang Xiaobai, where did you get these counterfeit votes? Even if you wish to help Yi Qingtang, you don't have to stoop so low. Mu Ruxia steadied her racing heart as she countered. We will know soon if the votes are real or fake. Jiang Xiaobai walked back to stand beside Yi Qingtang. He leaned lazily against Yi Qingtang and gave a big yawn. Each of these votes were written by a different person. Who can tell if they are real or fake? Apart from recognizing our own handwriting, no one else can ascertain the authenticity. We want to know if you secretly added in votes of your own. Mu Ruxia continued to argue. Mu Ruxia, it's good to have brains. A pity that you don't have any. Don't you know that the Island of Immortal Footsteps people will make a mark on all votes, which were handed over to them? Jiang Xiaobai chuckled. Mu Ruxia's face instantly turned even paler. Worried that there might be people who would try to submit more than one vote. The Island of Immortal Footsteps folks recorded down everyone who had already voted. To make things fair, they also made a special mark on each vote. Apart from people from the Island of Immortal Footsteps, no one else could replicate that mark. The restaurant servant soon checked all votes and ascertained that they were the missing votes. Since the missing votes were found, they would have to conduct a recount. Mu Ruxia watched as her own name was steadily erased from the top. This time, the restaurant servant opened each vote in front of everyone and read out the name. Yi Qingtang's numbers soared as the counting of the votes went on. Meanwhile, Mu Ruxia's face had turned from fair to pitch black. She never imagined that her flawless plan could be ruined by that Jiang Xiaobai, trying to gain an advantage only to end up worse off than before. This phrase describes Mu Ruxia perfectly. Jiang Yixing commented with satisfaction as he observed Mu Ruxia's increasingly grim face. Didn't she try all means to be top? Even the heavens couldn't help her now. After the last vote was read out, Yi Qingtang was leading by a wide margin. The number of votes for Yi Qingtang was nearly double that of Mu Ruxia. It must be pointed out that Yi Qingtang's astonishing abilities during the final battles had raised her profile significantly. On the other hand, although Mu Ruxia was pretty, her reputation among the youths plummeted after they witnessed the sight of her swollen face after her fight with Yi Qingtang. Chapter 1707. Tasting the Consequences 2. Even though there were many clans that were backed by the Mu family and the Bailey family, there were other clans who were not indebted to them. It was an anonymous vote anyway, so they voted for whoever they thought was more beautiful. Cheating. Yi Qingtang is cheating. The votes vanished yesterday only to reappear in the hands of the Jiang family. You must have stolen the votes and destroyed those that did not bear Yi Qingtang's name. Mu Ruxia's entire body was stiff as she complained unfairly. Qingtang was already the winner, so why would we steal the votes unless we were stupid? Wouldn't that just make more trouble for us? And look for yourself, Mu Ruxia. Don't the number of votes here tally with the number of people attending the event? Jiang Yixing cut through Mu Ruxia's slander mercilessly. Even without Jiang Yixing's word, the people there could already sense Mu Ruxia's foolishness. Yi Qingtang's victory had already more or less been secured, so why would she steal the votes? Mu Ruxia stopped grasping at straws. The top beauty for this martial arts championship is none other than Qingtang. Anyone with eyes can see who is more beautiful between the two of you. I have no idea who gave you the courage to compete with the looks of our Qingtang. Jiang Yixing spoke harshly and truthfully. He had no pity for shameless and arrogant women like Mu Ruxia. Jiang Yixing's words stripped away the last of Mu Ruxia's facade, revealing her pale blue face. The people around her were staring at her with disdain as well. Even though Mu Ruxia had dressed her best for today, now that she stood next to Yi Qingtang, she just looked unnecessarily garish. Yi Qingtang didn't need anything else. Her beauty was proof enough of everything. Mu Ruxia gritted her teeth as she glared at Yi Qingtang. The gazes of the people around her pricked her like 1,000 needles. She knew that her plan had been ruined, and there was no way to collect herself from this mess. She lowered her face and was about to leave. However, wait. Jiang Xiaobai raised his hands slowly and grabbed the wrist of the flustered Mu Ruxia, who was looking to escape after the situation had turned on her. What do you want? Mu Ruxia asked darkly as she shook his hand off. Since we have the results, you should fulfill your side of the bet as well. Jiang Xiaobai smiled, revealing his white teeth. What bet are you talking about? What nonsense are you spouting? I'm not going to be civil anymore if you keep blocking my way. Mu Ruxia retorted with a face full of panic. She was subconsciously standing beside Mu Feroa to use her aura to refuse to reciprocate the bet. Jiang Xiaobai narrowed his eyes as he looked at Mu Feroa, who was standing beside Mu Ruxia. He shrugged his shoulders. I knew you wouldn't keep up your end of the bet. Forget it. I don't have anything to say to someone who doesn't keep their word. With that, Jiang Xiaobai pulled Yi Qingtang out of the restaurant. The entire time, Yi Qingtang hadn't said a single word. She had no interest in the beauty rankings or Mu Ruxia, and let herself be dragged off by Jiang Xiaobai. Jiang Yixing followed behind them. Once they were out of the restaurant, Jiang Yixing couldn't hold it back anymore and whispered, Mu Ruxia really is shameless. I can't believe she is the sister of my goddess. It's really a pity we couldn't get her to hold up the end of her bet this time. Who said she's not going to? Jiang Xiaobai smiled slightly. Jiang Yixing was taken aback. Just wait a little. There's going to be a good show tonight, Jiang Xiaobai said mysteriously. Yi Qingtang looked at the wicked smile on Jiang Xiaobai's face. She had a feeling that Mu Ruxia was about to meet with great misfortune. Chapter 1708. Tasting the Consequences 3. On their way home, they ran into Jiang Yuran, who was on his way to help them. Other than Jiang Yinyun, who was still recovering from his wounds, everyone else had come, and they learnt from them that they had already found the votes, and Yi Qingtang was the top beauty in the championship. The news made Jiang Yuran shout with joy, and they returned to their residence. Now that Yi Qingtang had helped the Jiang family regain their image, the youths of the Jiang family treated her much better. Once evening fell, the youths who had not managed to get into the top 10 would have to leave the island of immortal footsteps with their elders and return to their own clans. Yi Qingtang and Jiang Xiaobai would remain on the island and enter the mystic realm tomorrow. They would see the rest of the Jiang family off today. Jiang Yixing was crying miserable, snot and tears everywhere as he touched Jiang Xiaobai all over. It was all Jiang Xiaobai could do to not kick him to death. As they were arguing, they caught sight of the Mu family. A slim figure with a straw hat and a veil covering a face caught their attention. That's odd. Where is Mu Ruxia? Jiang Yixing craned his neck to look, but still couldn't catch a glimpse of her. Jiang Xiaobai rushed towards the figure in the veil and lifted his chin as his fingers twitched slightly. A gust of wind blew towards her, lifting the hat up. As the hat dropped towards the ground, it revealed the nauseating view of a face which was rotting. The various clans were all present, and someone let out a shriek, attracting the attention of everyone else. Their gazes swept over, and they were all shocked as they saw the rotting face. My God, what in the devil is that? How is it possible that someone so ugly exists? Oh my God, I'm about to throw up. I don't remember seeing someone this ugly in the Mu family. A few youths frowned in utter disgust. The woman shrieked, and as she quickly tried to hide her face, she rolled up pathetically among the Mu family members, not daring to lift her face an inch. Is that Mu Ruxia? Jiang Yixing saw that there was a jade pendant on the neck of the ugly woman. Wasn't that the pendant that Mu Rushua had on her every day? I already said. There was no way she wasn't going to fulfill her end of the bet. Jiang Xiaobai smiled and lifted his eyes to look at Yi Qingtang. Elder sister Qingtang, I helped you seek revenge. How are you going to repay me? Yi Qingtang stared in shock at Jiang Xiaobai's beautiful, smiling face. She suddenly remembered him grabbing Mu Ruxia's hand. Could it be Jiang Xiaobai had poisoned her then? It's not easy to find beauty. Elder sister Qing. I had to spend quite a lot of effort to find it, Jiang Xiaobai said as he smiled. This beauty he was referring to was a type of insidious poison. It would not harm a person's life, but would make their features rot irreversibly. There was currently no antidote either. Yi Qingtang looked at Jiang Xiaobai, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Even though she was speechless, her heart still warmed. Xiaobai, you really are amazing. Jiang Yixing admired Jiang Xiaobai's method. Mu Rushua valued her looks greatly, and wouldn't dare to leave the house ever again now that she was in such a state. This punishment was harsh enough for someone who had tried to commit murder. Chapter 1709. The Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm, 1. On the second morning, Yi Qingtang and the others from the top 10 arrived at the entrance of the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm. Jiang Xiaobai stood naturally beside Yi Qingtang. The incessant yawns coming out from his mouth made no secret of his half-awake state, as he stood there with his eyelids heavy. Yi Qingtang's gaze swept around. Other than Jiang Xiaobai and her, there were 8 other people. 5 of them were from the top 10 of last year's championship, while the other 3 were new. Please wait a little. The Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm will open soon, said the old man in charge of sending them into the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm. Brother Qiu Chun, I'm scared of this mystic realm, said Qiu Xi, who was especially petite. Her face filled with fear and unhappiness as she looked at the entrance of the mystic realm, which was about to open. She subconsciously hid behind Brother Qiu Chun, who was from the same clan as her. She felt a great sense of unease towards the unknown dangers facing her and the 8 other people from the other clans. Meanwhile, Qiu Chun looked at the nearing Qiu Xi and frowned unabashedly. He pried away her fingers clutching at his shirt and scolded her impatiently. Go back to the Qiu family if you're so scared. Don't embarrass our clan. Qiu Si's eyes filled with tears as she got scolded. She was just trying to get closer to Qiu Chun, only to be hurt deeply by his cold gaze. She could only stand uneasily at one side, looking at the ground as she hunched her shoulders up. Yi Qingtang's gaze swept over Qiu Xi. She had paid attention to Qingtang's final battle, and would never have believed it if she hadn't seen it for herself. This girl, who couldn't even raise her voice in front of people, had fought so viciously that even Yi Qingtang was taken aback. Barely anyone who had battled Qiu Xi could get off the arena by themselves. If they were lucky, they would escape with heavy injuries, and if they weren't so lucky, would have died in the arena. Elder sister Qingtang, I'm so scared. Jiang Xiaobai suddenly mimicked Qiu Xi. Yi Qingtang was getting a headache from all his antics, but merely stroked his head to reassure him. Qiu Chun scoffed as he saw such a different response to his similar situation. But the Shun Qiu Xi raised her head in fear as she looked at Yi Qingtang and Jiang Xiaobai with a hint of envy in her eyes. I wonder what we're going to see in the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm, Wu Xiao from the Wu family muttered, his eyes full of curiosity. What's there to be worried about? The Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm is different every time. So what if you knew what it looked like in the past? It's going to be different when we enter today. Rather than worrying about this, shouldn't you just be prepared? Whether it's easy or hard depends on your capability. Zhan Rao crossed his hands behind his head as he surveyed the 5 new people. Elder brother Zhan, you've been inside before and understand the mystic realm more than us. Is there anything you can tell us? Wu Xiao asked modestly, but Zhan Rao had no patience to give them any pointers. There's nothing much to say. The strong will have great luck inside, while those who aren't good enough will just be facing their death if they enter. Actually, don't even talk about luck. Just leaving with your life is good enough. Chapter 1710. The Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm, 2. Most of them were from different clans. Good luck inside the mystic realm was rare, and they were all competitors here. Embarrassed by the rejection, Wuxia fell silent. At the side, Zhang Fei laughed lightly and said something to Zhang Rao. There was a clear divide between the 10 of them. Those who had entered the last time were all calm and collected, while the newcomers were evidently uneasy. Amidst all their thoughts, the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm finally opened. "Contestants, please enter the Mystic Realm," the elder said. With that said, the 10 of them entered the Mystic Realm, anticipating what was within it, wanting to make themselves stronger. The moment they entered the Mystic Realm, white flashed in front of Yi Qingtang's eyes. Before she could regain her vision, she felt a bone-piercing chill attack every inch of her skin. When Yi Qingtang finally regained her vision, she took a good look at the inside of the Mystic Realm and froze. It was a land of crystal ice and snow. As far as her eyes could see, everything was covered in a sea of ice and snow. The ground beneath her feet was like a frozen lake, transparent and glistening in its crystal haze. The wind brought with it the tremendous cold which chilled them to their bone, sapping every bit of warmth from their body. "It's freezing," Wu Xiao exclaimed as he rubbed his shoulders subconsciously. Teeth chattering, he felt as though he had fallen into an ice cellar. "What is this cold to us? We'll be able to withstand it with just a little spirit energy. How did you even get into the top 10? You don't even know how to use the spirit energy to protect yourself?" Zhang Rao frowned as he looked at the shivering Wu Xiao. At the same time, he released his spirit energy, trying to ward off the cold. As spirit energy emanated in waves from him, Zhang Rao still couldn't feel a shred of warmth. The cold seemed to invade every crevice of their body. Even their spirit energy could not protect them from it. "What's going on?" Zhang Rao was in shock. The other had tried to protect themselves with spirit energy, as well to the same results. This bone-chilling cold was relentless no matter how much spirit energy they released. In a few seconds, a layer of ice was already covering their eyes and ends of their hair. "It's too cold here. Even spirit energy can't hold it off." Zhang Fei was frowning as well. She looked as though she had been dropped in an ice cellar as well, every inch of her body suffering from the intense cold. "How is this possible?" Zhang Rao exclaimed. Yi Qingtang was frowning slightly. As she looked down at her fingertips, she saw they were slowly turning white from the cold, and something strange flashed in front of her eyes. "Qiu-chun, I'm scared. I want to go back." Qiu-ci was so cold her face was turning purple. Her unease swelled as the extreme cold assaulted all of her senses. "Just leave if you want to. The exit is over there," Qiu-chun, who was frozen stiff as well, said as he waved his hands impatiently. Qiu-ci walked towards the exit with full intention of leaving, when she suddenly froze. "The exit? It's gone." Qiu-ci's words suddenly attracted everyone's attention. Zhang Rao looked at where the exit was in disbelief. Where the exit was previously, stood a tall mountain of ice, with no trace of an exit anywhere. How is that possible? The exit to the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm wouldn't disappear like that. This has never happened before. Zhang Rao's eyes widened. The exit had remained where it was the last time he was here. The clans usually recorded the details of the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm as well. Chapter 1711. The Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm 3. The exit had never disappeared before. Zhang Rao punched the ice mountain in disbelief, creating a seemingly endless tunnel in front of them. But enshrouded in the frosty darkness, the exit remained nowhere to be seen. The exit is really gone. What's happening with the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm this time? Zhang Fei could feel that something was amiss with the Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm this time as well. The relentless cold and vanishing exit didn't bode well for them. "I can't stand this anymore. It's too cold here." Wu Xiao's face was already purple from the cold. He was ranked the lowest among the 10 of them, though he was already at the mid-stage of the 4th heaven. Even so, it wasn't enough to stave off the cruel, biting chill. "If any of you have any Dharma treasures, please use it now. This cold is too extreme, and we're going to freeze to death if we don't have a Dharma treasure to protect ourselves." Sang Feiyu said darkly. They had all already ascended to the highly respected fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. No one was going to believe it if they froze to death here. With Sang Feiyu's reminder, they quickly took out the various Dharma treasures they had with them. But they were all stunned as they reached for their treasures. My flame cloak, it's gone? Wu Xiao's expression turned ugly as he held out a dull red cloak. The once blazingly hot cloak froze immediately as he took it out. There wasn't a bit of warmth left in it. It wasn't the only item subjected to this phenomenon. They soon realized that their treasures were useless here, mere pieces of jewelry, with the inescapable cold, and now their useless Dharma treasures. These things were raining blow after blow on their gradually declining morale. Even the self-assured Zhang Rao, along with everyone else who had entered the immortal footsteps mystic realm before, now all had ugly expression on their faces. They had all thought that their experience would help them gain an edge over Yi Qingtang and the rest, but now they all looked like fools. You're cold. The little white tiger in Yi Qingtang's arms shook his ears and lifted his eyes to look at Yi Qingtang, whose lashes were already frozen. Yi Qingtang nodded. Why don't I feel cold then? The little white tiger asked. Rather than just not being cold, the little white tiger had not felt that the temperature was any different from when it was outside at all. How could Yi Qingtang and the rest of them look like they were freezing to death in such warm temperatures? Listening to the little white tiger, Yi Qingtang realized that it was unusually warm in her arms, as though it had completely not been affected by the temperatures of the place. She wrapped it closer to her subconsciously to warm herself up. Now you know how amazing I am, right? Forget it. The mighty me shall yield to you and let you warm yourself. As he declared that, the little white tiger shook his whiskers proudly. His entire demeanor was extremely annoying and deserving of a thrashing. Yi Qingtang, elder sister Qing, if you feel cold, you can try circulating spirit energy within yourself, Jiang Xiaobai said. Jiang Xiaobai's reminder gave Yi Qingtang a sudden realization. She would be able to raise her temperature rapidly if she circulated the spirit energy within herself. But this method meant that she would have to do it constantly, and it would also slow her down. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.